Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Rome with Romy, where I talk about life, love, and culture. For today's case study, we are going to head to two continents, North America and the continent of Africa, aka the motherland. Now, the two countries in particular that I'm going to focus on are Nigeria and good old USA. Now, let's do a bit of housekeeping before I do this case study. Disclaimer. The views that I'm about to share in this case study are based on my life experiences and my lived experiences abroad. Everything that I say in this video can be open to interpretation. Again, these are my opinions based on videos that I see that are publicly published and also facts from different sources. Another thing that I do have to mention is that there might be some cultural differences and nuances that I may not touch upon, and that is simply because, one, I have never lived on the African continent. Although I am of African descent, I was raised in North America, and so my perspectives are going to be based on my views as a woman, especially a Black woman that was raised in North America. Just keep that in mind. So without further ado, y'all, let's get into it. The subjects of today's case study is was a couple that was very popular on social media. The couple consists of a Nigerian-born woman, very stunning woman by the name of Kora Obidi, and her American-born husband, Justin Dean. Now, I had never heard of this couple before. Matter of fact, it wasn't until I did the Jamie and Nikki breakdown. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I highly recommend that case study. There was someone who mentioned them in the comment, and I got a bit curious, looked them up, and I realized that, okay, this is definitely a case study worth covering. One, because this couple they're actually very popular and well known in the Nigerian community, especially Kora Obidi. Now, in case most of you do not know, Kora Obidi is a very popular singer, dancer, and songwriter in Nigeria. So sis is popular out here, okay? Like, she's a top charting artist, or was. Sis is very well known in Nigeria, and she even has her own Wikipedia page. Now, look, I'm not going to get all my sourcing from Wikipedia. I know how some people feel about that. We know her in the public as Kora Obidi. However, her given name is actually Anita Chukwumfumnaya Obidi. Look, y'all don't get into me. Okay, let me know how to pronounce it. Now, this case study is going to be a little different from the others that I've done, mainly because this couple was very popular on TikTok and Instagram, but not necessarily on YouTube. So most of the clips that I'm going to use are going to be from those social media platforms. And another thing about this couple that's different from the other case studies that I've done is that I actually purchased Kora's book. Kora wrote an autobiography about her life and how it was growing up in Nigeria and her move to America and her divorce. And she goes into extensive detail about what has happened in her life. And I think that is going to serve as a backdrop to piece the puzzle together, because there are certain things that I wasn't able to capture on social media that sis captured in her book. Now we're going to hear her voice, y'all, because she has a lot to say. And I would highly recommend that you purchase this book if you really want to get to know her in a more human way, I should say, because it's so easy for us to look at celebrities and think of them as these characters. However, reading her book, I have a deeper sense of who she is. And to be honest with you guys, I actually really, really related to her in so many ways. And I'm actually happy that she wrote this book and she was able to share her truth. So this is her book. It's called Kora is Live. It is available anywhere where you can purchase a book, pretty much. And it's a good read. It's a little different from other books that I've read in the sense of, like, just here, it's more of like larger text. I will be using excerpts from her book to explain and fill in the pieces wherever we need to get more clarification. Now, before we get into the red flags, let's start by finding out a little bit more about Kora and her childhood and upbringing, and also Justin's childhood and upbringing. First, let's start with Justin because his social media profile is not as large and extensive as Kora's social media profile. We're going to get into that. So Justin grew up in Hermiston, Oregon, which is a small town. Now, y'all know how I feel about small towns and dating men from small towns, especially white men from small towns. We're going to get into it. However, this town is very small. I even checked the U.S. Census of Bureau because y'all know I'm thorough, okay? So I done went to the U.S. Census of Bureau. And as of July 2024, the population of this town is 19,000 folks. And y'all could imagine that there's probably not many folks of this hue. So we can already get an idea, and you're going to see how that affected a little bit of this situation, that he hasn't grown up around people of color, and he never really did. Let's just keep that in mind. Another thing is that this town elected their first Black City Council member in 2023. So that just goes to show you that he grew up in a very small town. Now, again, I'm not going to say that everyone from a small town has a very, I guess, narrow-minded / ignorant mindset, but I will say that it kind of lines up with the way that he speaks about people, and especially people of color. We'll get into that. I also think that when you come from these are my opinions, when you come from a small town, I believe that there are, my opinion, small town, small mindset. Listen, I understand that there are people who come from smaller towns. I will say, though, that the disadvantage is that you didn't grow up in a diverse area, so there are viewpoints and there may be different perspectives that you grew up believing about certain demographics of people that are not necessarily accurate. Once you remove yourself from that small town environment, you get to really see the world. Now we know that Justin grew up in a small town, and Justin is actually very highly educated. He is a chiropractor. He practices out of Los Angeles, California, maybe in the Los Angeles area. He even has a website for his services. He has a good career. So that is a plus on his end based on his online business and his profile, because this is public information, y'all. It looks like he specializes in disc injuries, chronic pain, pinched nerves, exercise interventions, and has trained in the 3 top leading facial release methods. All right. And he teaches neurocentric approach at professional conferences. So he's a very widely known chiropractor in his field. He has a clinical practice. He has worked with celebrities and CEOs, athletes, and patients. Also, he used to live in China. We're going to get into that. He spent 2017 in Shanghai, China, as a Chinese national team sports medicine doctor. So he has an extensive resume. I can't hold that against him. He been putting in work in the chiropractor field. Now, Kora, on the other hand, grew up in Nigeria. So according to Sis's book, because again, I got the receipt right here. According to Sis's book, she grew up in a government residential area reserved for elite accountants. Her father was an accountant and her mother was a nurse and a businesswoman. So Sis grew up in an educated household. Now, her parents valued higher education. I'm just reading off of my notes here. Her mother was the disciplinarian and promoted high performance in her children. I'm going to read an excerpt from Kora's book. Growing up, it was inexplicable. We all knew what was required of every one of us. My siblings and I knew we were only allowed to be nothing short of greatness. It was an unspoken rule. I remember almost peeing my pants when I didn't come first position in school, and I had to take my report card back home to my mom. I thought I was going to get a whooping. I didn't. My mother was a disciplinarian, to say the least. Kora grew up speaking French, and other languages, and also went to military school. She grew up in one of the most strictest religious households. Her parents were very devout Christians. In a sad turn of events, we find out in her book that her mother actually died of cancer. Her mother passing away served as a pivotal point in her family's trajectory. I think that that left a big void in her, and her mother passing away also led to a lot of sexual abuse and her being vulnerable to that, which we'll get into soon. There are a lot of sources that outline what happens when a child loses a parent and how it can affect their development into adulthood. The Pittsburgh Department of Psychiatry researchers recently completed a 7-year prospective examination of pediatric grief following parental death, the longest and most detailed study to date. They found that the loss of a parent had an early and persistent negative impact on the academic and social functioning of the child. That was in part due to the onset of depression within the first 2 years after the parent's death. The results were published in the American Journal of Psychiatry. And they go on to say, we found that kids who have lost a parent are more than twice as likely than non-bereaved kids to show impairments in functioning at school and at home, even 7 years later. Importantly, this finding held up even when we adjusted for risk factors such as pre-existing psychiatric disorder in the child or parent. Grieving children also had higher rates of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, than non-bereaved children at all time points. Now, you're going to see how this makes sense in Sis's book because she goes into detail about that. Another thing that I must mention is that children who have lost a parent are more vulnerable to outside societal risk factors such as abuse and child abuse. Now, when it comes to child sexual abuse, research has shown that family and acquaintance child sex abuse perpetrators have reported that they look for specific characteristics in children they choose to abuse. This is going to make sense when I read the excerpts from her book. Perpetrators report that they look for passive, quiet, troubled, lonely children from single parent or broken homes. Now, in the case of Kora, her mother passed away when she was 8 years old. So from the ages of 8 until she was able to leave her house as an adult, she was under the care of at least one parent, and we're going to find out her relationship with her stepmother soon. Perpetrators frequently seek out children who are particularly trusting and work proactively to establish a trusting relationship before abusing them. Not infrequently, this extends to establishing a trusting relationship with the victim's family as well. Gender also plays a major factor in sexual abuse. Females are 5 times more likely to be abused than males. While there is risk of children of all ages, children the most vulnerable to abuse are between the ages of 7 and 13. The median age for reported sex abuse is 9 years old. Now, let's read an excerpt of when her mother passed away. So now Kora goes on to say that she had a lesson teacher by the name of Uncle Francis. And one day he decided to, I guess, dry hump her while she was studying. First, he gained her trust, and then he decided to dry hump her. And that was the first time that she was ever violated. Once Kora's father remarried, then things started to become different in the household because his new wife didn't really like the attention that her husband was bestowing on his children. This started another problematic theme in her childhood, which is that her father started to pay less and less attention to her while he was married to this woman. In another excerpt, she wrote that, "I had a lot of friends after my mother passed away. We changed schools, changed homes, and moved in with my stepmother, who had graciously allowed my father to take over her bills and livelihood as soon as they tied the knot." And so she goes on to say that we lived with a new family, and this is where the story began. A lot of our integration into this family and the details that ensued between the cousins turned brothers and my elder sisters are not my story to tell. I will leave that to the appropriate custodians of the gist and concentrate on my own story. So she goes on to say how she was abused. She continues to say, I will not go into full detail about what happened in this time frame, as some stories are not mine to tell. Some of the most traumatizing experiences of my life happened during this period. And then she goes on to say that there was a distant cousin who had touched her inappropriately. And she goes on to continue that one of her stepbrothers, the dad, married his eldest brother's widow. And so her cousins became her stepbrothers. One time they basically had the girls, stripped naked, and they flogged them and they beat them. So they had a lot of authority over them. The men put in charge to protect us was one of the reasons I got into an abusive marriage in the first place, because she equated love to abuse. She didn't have that formative time to see what a true man or true relationship was, because her mother passed away and then things just started to change. She didn't have time to really see healthy relationship grow between her parents. In retrospect, I think he was manipulated by his wife. He is still the best dad ever though, just not Superman like we all want our fathers to be. Just a human like you and me with our flaws. So we can clearly see that sis had a troubled childhood. Sis had a troubled childhood. From the time that her mother passed away, everything changed for her. And she became susceptible to more abuse, emotional, sexual, physical, and also her father's behavior towards her changed because her dad treated her like a princess and her mother like a queen. So she grew up very privileged. However, once her mother passed away, then the treatment of her father was more focused towards his new family. If you have male role models that behave in an unhealthy way, then those are the behaviors that you're going to start to attract or be attracted to when you start getting into romantic relationships. We're going to get into that. So sis goes on to say that she went to the University of Lagos and chose art as a major. Her choosing art was actually something that was unconventional for the simple fact that her parents were very highly educated and they did not see art as like a serious major. However, sis decided to follow her dream and she went down that path because she was super passionate about it and she really loved dance. And she said that she was inspired by Shakira, and you know, Shakira's all belly dancing. And so she was inspired by that too. Now, she also mentioned, and this is very important, that she wanted to keep her virginity until marriage because during college she became super religious and she was churchy, quote unquote. That's what she wrote in her book. In this excerpt, Kora explains why she decided that she wanted to keep her virginity until marriage. So at the time, you have to remember, this is cultural as well, especially in certain traditional cultures such as Nigerian culture. I can even name a whole other spectrum of cultures that practice this. In many traditional collectivist cultures, virginity is prized, especially regarding religion. Offering your virginity to a man is seen as the supreme gift, especially for your husband to know that you are untouched and that no one has ever been able to have you. Now, to be honest with y'all, personally speaking, it is a personal choice. I do believe that everyone has a decision to make about what they want to do with their body. And however you choose to do it for whatever reason is up to you. What I will say, though, is that growing up in the church, as I did, it was something that was very well taught to us. And if you lost your virginity, it's almost as if you were kind of tainted. And I'm not saying that a lot of churches believe that, because there are some churches that will tell you that, you know, you can be redeemed and then you can go on a path of celibacy. However, I have noticed that it is more desirable for women to stay virgins as opposed to men. In a sad turn of events, we're going to see how Kora ended up losing her virginity. V's brother S was a cultist and a notorious Yahoo boy. A Yahoo boy is a cyber scammer. A cultist is a word used to refer to people who belong to different deadly fraternities. I was scared and thrilled by this 6 feet plus male who had so much power and commanded so much respect amongst his peers. He was so rich as well, piling up to the front of my residence with one of the sleekest cars I had ever been in. So, you know, he had the money. He was looking the part of a scammer. Let's just say that. All right, so it looks like S was a hot boy. All right, so he had all the cars, the money, the girls, the women, whatever. He came by and grabbed us all, whisking us to this restaurant. At this restaurant, we ate some Chinese food and had a great time. I was so happy. This was my first official date. It was at a fancy restaurant. I had my best friend at the time with me. We had so much fun. So then she continues to say, everything was going great on this date. S seemed to be the focal point as everyone did whatever he said. So he had a lot of power, y'all. On the table were VS and some other guy. Everything was good until I started to feel very dizzy. At that time, I was very light-brained and didn't drink a lot. I remember ordering one Nigerian Chapman for the night. It was strange, but I could barely get up from my seat. I tried to get up and got so dizzy I had to sit right back. V came to me to help me up a flight of stairs. Then all of a sudden, I was in a room with just S. V was nowhere to be found. It was at this point that my eyes cleared. I knew something was wrong. I reached for the doorknob and S violently knocked me down. I started to scream V's name, but she never showed up. It was at this point it dawned on me what was about to go down. Straight, I went on my knees and started to beg, and S laughed. What are you begging for? He said. Just lay down and let us get this over with, he yelled. I started screaming for help. No one answered, and I continued to scream, anybody, please. At this point, I was profusely crying and yelling. S inched towards me and laughed. He grabbed his phone, placed a call, and put it on speakerphone. E, get one girl for here way no one cooperate, he casually said. The voice on the phone blurted back, Baba, where they come. At this point, I knew I had only 2 choices. If I didn't lay there and get raped by just S, I was going to be raped by S and a battalion of cultists. I resolved my fate and calculated my next move. Please, please don't tell them where we are. I'll be quiet, I begged shamelessly. As told the boys to simmer down, I proceeded to lay on the queen-size bed that was in the center of the room. As I inched towards the bed, I heard a loud hit on my head. I was in shock. I had already accepted to be raped by this man, but he had just hit me on my head so hard that I slumped into the bed. He yanked me violently and then started to rip my clothes off. He tossed me around like a rag doll. I was numb. The taste in my mouth was a mix of blood and anguish, and tears began to flow, and I couldn't stop it. Right then, all the promises I made to myself and my dad were being violently broken by a man I barely knew for a plate of Chinese fried rice. The betrayer V, who had carted me over to her heinous sibling, was nowhere to be found. Then she goes on and continues to go into extensive detail about how she was dated. According to an article published by Amnesty International, this was in 2021, titled Nigeria, Failure to Tackle Rape Crisis Emboldens Perpetrators and Silences Survivors. They found that endemic rape was underreported due to stigma and victim blaming, and the police failure to investigate sexual violence deprives survivors of justice. In 2020, they found that 11,200 rape cases were reported last year, including children who were raped to death. Now, they said that despite the Nigerian authorities' declaration of a state of emergency on sexual and gender-based violence, rape persists at crisis levels, with most survivors denied justice, rapists avoiding prosecution, and hundreds of cases of rape going underreported or unreported due to pervasive corruption, stigma, and victim blaming. Now, Nigeria is not the only country, y'all, but I'm just focused on Nigeria for the purposes of this case study. This is a global issue and something that's not to be taken lightly. There are a lot of cases, especially when it comes to sexual violence against women and girls. The more that it goes unreported, the more that these perpetrators get emboldened to do it. I will also mention that Kora did not report her rapist, and it was for these reasons as well. And it's very tragic what happened to her, and that happens to so many girls around the world. I will say that in her case, after this whole situation happened, she said that she felt dirty and she felt ashamed. This is when she started to become more sexually active. In this twisted, unfortunate turn of events, it never occurred to me to tell anyone, let alone go public with it. I could never. I would have been viewed as damaged goods, probably never get married, and be vilified and judged by every soul as the girl who got raped. After weeks of gifts from S and incessant apologies from V, I decided to never tell anyone. I shaved my head, cut the ties, and became a new person. I started to learn self-defense, got serious with my dancing, got vicious with my music, and never looked back. And also, this is where the name Kora was birthed. She continues on to say, in my quest to never be that vulnerable again, I found Kopira. I was named Kora, the one who could do all. In my Joda, everyone called me Kora and it stuck. Kora was born. Chukwu Fumnaya could sit back for Kora to take over. And Kora did. So as we can see, her rebirth was attributed to the trauma that she experienced while she was a child up until university age. Now, one thing that stuck out to me was she said that she felt like damaged goods. When you're raised in such a religious household and also your church or society is telling you to value something and that you lose it, whether it's by choice or force, it literally can turn your world upside down. I will say this, that when you lose your virginity, especially when you come from a religious household, that does not mean that you are damaged goods. And that does not mean that you should no longer care about your body. I strongly believe that you still have a choice to make, and you can choose who has access to your body and who doesn't from there on, even if it was in the worst of the circumstances. I believe that you should still have standards, even if you've had a troubled childhood, even if you've had a lot of circumstances happen to you. That does not make you damaged. That actually makes you a hero, and you have actually survived. And I want to make that very clear, because I think that as women, we're taught that if we don't hold on to this, then that means we are no longer worth anything. And you are worth more than that. You are worth more than your virginity. You are worth more than what you can offer to a man. Now, continuing on with the story, Kora's rebirth brought about a lot of different changes in her life. Once Kora started taking dancing very seriously, then she started to become a star in Nigeria and started to make a name for herself. Kora released her debut single in 2015 that was titled Man Like You. She also released a song titled Kalibi featuring Miss Kiss. And then she released Vibration featuring Victoria Kamani. So sis was starting to put her name out there. So while sis was starting to make a name for herself in Nigeria, she also became a city girl. Now I gotta keep it real. She became a bit of a city girl, now that she's let go of her virginity, and she decided to just kind of live a different type of life. Sis was living a fast life. And she goes into detail how she met her first sugar daddy named Mr. O. Now, I'm not going to go into much detail about that. Y'all could read her book, but it is very interesting. He had an interesting request for her that involved the back door. We just gonna leave it at that. Now that I done got the biography out of the way, we're gonna get into how she met Justin, because now this is very important. So sis lived in Dubai for a bit, and then she decided to move to China. With only a bachelor's degree to my name, my family chimed in and ordered me to go do my master's in Shanghai. My university was in a not-so-popping province in Zhenjiang. Not a lot of people spoke English, and I was so lonely, the culture shock was real. It was really hard to learn applied economics from non-English speakers. There were no churches anywhere, and the ones I found were just designed for photo ops. I went in there one day and prayed for a husband. That night, I swiped right on Mr. J on Tinder, the only place I could find English speakers. Y'all, if you guys watched the last case study about the spiritual bum, I said that I felt that Sarah in that case study had a bit of the God told me he's my husband. Now it looks like Kora had the same revelation of God told me he's my husband. And that'll get a Christian girl caught up. Now, the thing is that I think like a lot of us have imagination and we believe in coincidences. So remember, she prayed the night before for her husband. Then she went on Tinder and she found Justin. Or she said Mr. J. Look, she called him Mr. J in the book. So we just gonna go with that. Now, sis was amping her mind up and kind of fantasizing that that was her husband. However, what I will say is that he did anything but treat her like a husband. So for my Christian girlies out there, please make sure you have more than one confirmation. Don't just go and say, God told me he my man, and then that's it. You're just going to fixate on the next guy that comes out. No, still go through your due diligence and the process, because sis had that mindset, and you're going to see how that worked out for her. So now God told her that Mr. J is her husband, y'all. My friends all wanted to be in Shanghai. Mr. J had a nice loft in Shanghai. Remember, I told you guys that Mr. J, remember, according to the book, because we got to say allegedly taught in China for a few years. She said that we were young, wild, and free. We partied a lot. Shanghai had one of the best nightlife scenes in the world. There was a club called M1NT with live sharks on the walls. I dropped out of my master's program and started to move from place to place, dancing with Mr. J and documenting it. So not only was sis living in a foreign country and lonely, because that does happen when you live abroad, and for a lot of people, they can't enjoy being in solitude. They think that there's something wrong with that. Now, remember, I always say this, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Sis was lonely. She was bored in the other city that she was in. She did the prayer, God told me he's my husband. She met Mr. J. And then life became exciting for her, and she dropped out of her master's program and decided to go follow him. Because remember, God told her that that's her husband. Remember that. All right, let's continue with the story. The love was incredible. I had never felt anything like it, so she was intoxicated. Sis was drunk in love. I was in complete awe of this man, and I couldn't believe how someone could show that much love. We couldn't be separated. It was incredible. We drank a little too much and sex like rabbits, but that was not a concern because we were enjoying every second of our lives together. He asked me to move in with him 2 weeks after meeting him. Red flag. Red flag. Red flag. Because now you got to imagine, you're in a foreign country. So that's already intensifying feelings. It's heightened feelings because she doesn't have anyone else to compare him to. So the dating pool is already small within the foreigner community. Let's be clear, especially when you're in an Asian country. In Sis's case, this man was Caucasian. And there are not many Caucasian men in China. Now, of course, there's a sizable foreign population, but the percentages are not that high. Let's just be clear, especially of foreigners living in China. China is a very, very big country. So now, added to this, that she found someone that she could connect with. You know, they humping like rabbits. That's what she said. And sis is excited. She's looking for excitement in her life, especially since she was lonely. Moving in 2 weeks is a red flag. But then you have to remember her circumstances. She was in a foreign country. In a foreign country, you do things that you would normally not do at home. I'll be honest with y'all. It is very easy to get enticed, to get into activities and partake in activities and make decisions that you would never do at home. Because I bet you, if sis was in Nigeria, she would not do this. I can guarantee that. But because she was in a foreign country, there's no community around her, meaning that she doesn't have her village there. It's easier for her to make these rash decisions. And also you have to take into account that her trauma added to this as well. She could finally be with somebody that she can love and that she feels very open with. And remember, sis said she felt like damaged goods, so she's just living her free life, and she decided to just live life on her own terms. Let's continue. So sis done moved in with him after 2 weeks. Didn't even get to know him, know who he is. I don't think she really knew much about him. So let's just say. Now sis okay. So remember, I said that's a red flag. Sis even said it in her book. This was when the red flags popped, but I was too in love to care or notice. Sis showed some accountability here. So even she recognizes that that was a red flag. But remember, she's in a different state of mind when she's abroad. One night, we had gone out partying. He complained about how I stared at black men a lot when I was with him. Another red flag, y'all. Red flag. Red flag. In my mind, I was thinking, I see a black man or woman once a month in Shanghai, as we were a rare find. Exactly. Pardon me if I stare a little longer than I should at my kind. As we walked out, a Nubian man in all his glory, sis didn't really have to say that though, but she said it, tried to talk to me, disregarding the man with me, and that was a little rude of him. I graciously reminded him I had a man and squeezed Mr. J's hand for reassurance, and we walked out of the club. As soon as we got out, he called me up, left me in front of the club, and started running into the night. I was in utter shock. Now, second red flag, y'all. That was something sis should have checked. And she said she was shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all. Growing up in North America, this is something that we see a lot. And so I'm just going to let you guys know, especially for my ladies who are not from North America, or for my ladies who have never been to North America, let this be known that that is a red flag. So Kora says, no one in my life had ever called me that, at least not to my face. I had to navigate Ying Ping Lu at 2 a.m. without any cash, through the help of a good Samaritan. Thankful for the survival Mandarin I had learned. He had my phone in his pocket and everything. So this man left her stranded, y'all. All because she said hi to a black man. Child, this is a mess. All right, let's continue. And by the way, if you're watching this, just know that I'm going to play the video soon, but we got to get into the background. Remember, this is a case study. So I got to dig into this story first before I show you guys the fallout. He had my phone in his pocket and everything. I eventually found my way to his apartment and saw him outside fuming and cussing. So he had an anger problem on top of his racism, child. He was pacing back and forth, red as a tomato, and saying gibberish. I was so freaking shocked. I proceeded to pack my things. I had just moved in with him and canceled my lease. See, this is what happens when you move in together. I done told y'all. And then people want to get mad at me when I talk about that. Why can't you be together and live in separate places? I just don't understand. But let's continue. I didn't know what to do. He begged, blamed it on my drink being roofied. I had never seen anything like this. I soon got to learn it was a panic attack, according to him. Okay, so he had some type of attack issue. We would go through cycles of 2 weeks in which he would have these attacks. They would involve a lot of screaming, yelling, phone smashing, and fear. They sound like he was on the spectrum for something, y'all. Seriously, I'm not even joking. This sounds like somebody who has some psychological issues that they needed to address. But however, again, when you're from a culture where men are seen as valuable and a prize and having a man is your end-all be-all, then this is what's going to happen. And I'm not just blaming Nigerian culture. This is in a lot of cultures, including North American culture. When a man is valued above your safety and your health and your well-being, then you're going to try to stay in a relationship and make it work because you think that you could fix them. But in actuality, this is somebody who cannot be fixed. This behavior is going to keep repeating itself. And that's because that person doesn't want to change. No matter what you try, no matter what you do, no matter how much you stay, you love them, you coddle them, you try to make them better, they will not change until they want to change. Keep that in mind. I was determined to fix him. There we go. I believed that I could. I was not in any way attracted to anyone but him. But he had his doubts and insecurities. I soon altogether stopped looking at black people to keep him comfortable. You ain't had to do that, sis. This man was a racist. Let's just put it that way. Mr. J, allegedly, in my opinion, was a racist and had stereotypes about black folk. That's just it. Because there should be no reason why he can't let you be friendly with your own people. That doesn't make any damn sense. But someone who's not wrapped up too tight up there is going to have an issue. And we could clearly see that Mr. J has an issue. All right, let's continue. I did everything I could to avoid the rage. Yes, that happened. All right, Kora goes on to say, Mr. J came to Nigeria, killed the animals, met the elders, and married me traditionally. So they had a traditional Nigerian wedding. I am Obidi, who is of royal lineage. It was simple. He paid my bride price, which was $20 or N20 if he was Nigerian, because people do not subscribe to the extortion of the groom or selling of the bride. Now, $20 is a bit low, sis. Now, my Nigerians, I'm going to need y'all to explain to me, is this a normal bride price? Because for me, $20 is a bit low. If somebody has to pay a bride price, I would think that you would pay a lot more, but y'all going to let me know. So sis got married to this man. Now, we don't have the timeline here. I think she's just kind of explaining the sequence of events. The circumstances of their marriage was already off to begin with. Now, even in spite of all the red flags I just said, sis ended up marrying him. Now, remember, this man cannot emotionally regulate himself. He has panic attacks that he cannot control. He's always screaming and yelling, has called her out of her name several times, is jealous and racist, insecure, according to her, and she decided to still marry him. Now, we don't know why, but sis did that, and she thought she could fix him. Remember, she said she thought she could fix him. Now let's continue reading. It took me 6 months to get to America. Trump had just been elected. Child, we living in a fever dream because he got reelected. Mr. J insisted I call him every night before bed. I did this religiously. One night I had gone out and had a wild time. I forgot to call him and he got so furious on the phone. He turned tomato red again. And this time he called me a... See, this man loved calling her all types of names, Mr. J. This scared the living Jesus out of me. The last time he blamed his verbal abuse on me being roofied at the party. But this time he was completely sober, I think. Since he been sober. He is just a disrespectful man. I knew I couldn't be married to a man that verbally abuses me at the slightest provocation. My self-esteem will be mush in 1 year of being with a person like that. This man had already met my elders. What do I do? See, now sis got peer pressure because now she's like, look, especially in traditional cultures, when you get married, getting divorced quickly, people not going to have that. They're going to tell you to work it out with your man. Stand by your man. And it's just not a good look. And unfortunately, annulment wasn't in the cards for her because she already showed him around to the family. He already paid the bride price. If she were to go to her family and say that, hey, things didn't work out with us and I think I'm going to leave him, this could potentially bring shame to her, especially being that she comes from a very religious and traditional household. So now sis is thinking about the family because she was like, look, I can't handle this anymore. This man is cray-cray. Let's continue. This time I threatened him. If you call me that again, the wedding is off, I said. It worked. So now remember, she had the traditional Nigerian wedding ceremony with the elders, and they haven't had their official wedding ceremony. I'm guessing the legal paperwork. I'm not really sure. So I'm assuming the legal paperwork. So sis continues to say, he stopped fuming, piped down, and apologized. I was fighting for a change, and I believe I found a solution. We apologized to each other and continued our way. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every part of my being felt like I made a mistake with this man. He had become more controlling by the day. Dang. So even though he was in America and she was in Nigeria waiting for her paperwork to go through, this man was still controlling her. This is crazy. The persistent name calling wasn't something I was used to. I grew up with my community very loving towards me. This was alien to me. I was so scared and upset at the same time. The American government was taking its sweet time and I was getting impatient. Something about knowing you are about to leave home for life just brings out the I don't give a rat's ass in you. I was done, but at the same time, I was ready to explore everything I would be missing. All right, look, listen, y'all, I gotta be honest. Let's keep it real. Sis had her eyes on the prize. She's like, look, I don't want to be with this man. He is too controlling, but I want to see what life is like in America. So I'm gonna have to hold on tight. And she said that I started to go out more often. I had just recently gone viral. And fame, which I believe is the most intoxicating drug, had gotten in my head. I was out with celebrities, spent nights on private houses, and just enjoyed my life every single day of the weeks. I knew my days in Lagos were numbered. So I told y'all, sis was starting to get a bag and was starting to become well known in Nigeria. In retrospect, this must have been very insensitive to my fresh husband who had just moved to a new city, Los Angeles, to begin a new life. All right, so now we got the timeline. So this means that Mr. J moved to Los Angeles after they got married. So now this lines up. I shouldn't have documented the life of the party as he struggled to be honest. I underestimated how hard it was to move to a new city in America. I was young and naive. So while sis was partying it up and having a whole life and city girl life in Lagos, Mr. J was in Los Angeles. So now she meets a man named Jack. Jack enters the chat. So she said that she met Jack and that, you know, he had money and he was able to wine and dine her. Meanwhile, with Mr. J, he was a 50-50 dude. Look, I'm about to read this excerpt here. She said, I was very grateful because, listen, Mr. Jack was spending it all. He was risking it all for your girl, spending money. She said Jack was so charming, very hospitable by nature and generous. As soon as he met us, he immediately bought a drink for the table, so he was already very generous with the money. He was charismatic too. Jack made my night at the party. He was a gentleman and dropped me home. The next day I got a performance gig, a high-end prestigious gig, one of those didn't haggle your price gigs. So basically sis was getting paid. I was very grateful because a girl just spent so much on her traditional wedding, she had to split 50-50 with her Oyinbo Bay in the spirit of equality of the sexes. So Mr. J, her new husband, was 50-50, dude. I done told y'all about 50-50 dudes and how they are insufferable. They want 50-50 split down the middle. And they are usually the cheapest ones to get with. I'm telling y'all, 50-50 with you, but he 100% with another chick. Don't let that miss you. All right, let's continue.
Show me what you're bringing to the table. 50-50, meet me in the middle. Show me what you're bringing to the table. Like bill, gas bill, car, no table. Anything for you.
Turns out it was Jack's private party. I was shocked. I did my job and performed to everyone's heart delight. So Jack dropped the bag on her for her to perform because he knew she was a performer and he was going after her. And she said that, you know, he started taking her out to dinner. She had really good sushi, started taking her to fancy restaurants. She said, I had another gig, this time a stadium gig. One where I couldn't go myself. I casually mentioned it in a conversation we were having. Next thing I knew, Jack booked an appointment for my hair and nails. I showed up to get the most amazing installation and nails I had ever had. At exactly 6 p.m., my armed escort and driver picked me up and took me to my gig, and then I had an amazing performance. So listen, y'all. Jack was being very proactive. He was taking the lead. So she really appreciated that, and that's what she really wanted. Sis really wanted that. But unfortunately, you know, she had already gotten married. So now that, you know, she's interested in Jack, she's starting to catch feelings for your boy. And she decides to confess to him, like, look, I'm married, and you know, I don't think we could continue this right now because I feel like I'm about to do things that I'm not supposed to be doing. So let's just clear the air. Come to find out, Jack is also married. So now we got two cheaters in the mix. She continues to say, oh my God, that was heavy. We were both married. Mine was official, no court or white wedding, but traditional. We talked for a long time. All the vulnerability spewing left and right. One thing led to another. We cheated. So look, they both consoled each other at the fact that they're both married and attracted to each other, but then they decide to cheat. Either way. Now, I will stop and say this. Cheating is unacceptable, period. Cheating is absolutely unacceptable to me. In my opinion, once you get to that point, it's time to wrap it up because there's no reason why you should be cheating on your husband or vice versa. What I will say, though, is that sis knew that she wasn't supposed to marry Mr. J from the beginning. And sis should have followed her intuition and broke it off. However, I do believe, my opinion based on what I'm seeing, remember, I got to be honest in my case studies. I think sis was more enthralled and more focused on building her life in America. So that was the eye for the prize right there. Because I don't think Mr. J was the sole reason she wanted to go to America. I believe that going to America would open up to more opportunities, especially since she'll be in LA. She's a singer-songwriter. It looks like sis wanted to be an international superstar. Listen, gotta keep it real. I do think that that's what kept sis in that relationship. Because I believe, honestly, had he had not had that to offer, sis would have been done. I'll be honest with y'all. So now sis done cheated, y'all. She done cheated. And she felt sick, and she said she felt putrid and she felt awful. And then she started to realize that she's having second thoughts about this marriage. She continues to write, I realized this panic affair must have been an indicator that maybe the love was not right. Sis, I could have told you that. Maybe if it was so easily tainted, then I needed to wait. Maybe I was moving too fast. I moved in with this man 2 weeks after I met him, sis. That was turbo fast. It was an internal battle daily. Should I go? Should I stay? Stay where? Here? There was nothing for me here. 4 months later, My visa got approved. I packed my bags and headed over to my new life. So, listen, them regrets wasn't enough for her not to pack up and go, because she knew that she was going to live a new life in America. And she said that I am in the arms of my USA Bobo, living the Hollywood dream, and Lagos is behind me. I am having the time of my life. Now, I will say this. Do I think that sis was only after him for a green card? No, I do not believe so. I believe that she would have been able to get her green card regardless, because sis had the funds and the notoriety in Nigeria to be able to afford a green card in America. So I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I think that her being married accelerated the process. So imagine she's able to move to LA. She got a place to stay. She doesn't have to do everything on her own. So it'll be easier for her to integrate into American life. She said, I am having the time of my life. Everything seems to be perfect. Every night is a movie. Fantasyland. So now she back on her Shanghai tip. Remember in Shanghai, she said we was going out every night. It was great. It was the best time of my life. And now she's in America doing the same thing. Sis got a fantasy in her mind about this whole life in America. Moving to America, coming to America. Now, she says that we got married in court within 3 months. We were doing amazing. Sis had the blinders on. In a bid to impress his Nigerian pop star wife, Mr. J bit more than he could chew. Okay, let's continue. Reality began to set in. In less than 6 months, we were homeless. So he wasn't prepared, y'all. And I'm thinking it's because he had just moved to this new state. LA is very expensive. California, matter of fact, is very expensive. And if he's building a practice, it takes time to get clients, especially when you're in the chiropractor field. And not only that, but they have to be steady clients, or you always have to look for new people. And it appears, according to her, that Mr. J spent way too much money, because remember, he's trying to set up an apartment or a house for her. I'm assuming they were renting at first, and then he had to pay bills and then get her over there. Got to pay for the paperwork to get processed. Maybe had lawyers. That can add up. And now they're homeless, living in LA, y'all, in the Los Angeles area. They said they lived with a roommate and shared rent. She was contemplating what she should do because she's pregnant, but she said, we came to Los Angeles for our dreams. I was currently in talks with some big record labels, and this happens. Look, I done told y'all, she came for her dream to build up her career stateside. Now, she said that we decided to keep the baby, but we were homeless and had nothing for our incoming kid, and hustle mode started to grow in her. Now she started asking her friend how she could make money. She went on Hollywood Boulevard and dressed up as a character. Child, I didn't know whether she was dressed up as a character or selling something. Listen, I got a little confused at this part, but we're gonna skip this part. She found a way to make some money. All right, she found a way to make some money. She said she would dress up in costumes and take pictures with people. I guess that's the way you can make money in LA. Child, I don't know. You can make money anywhere in America doing anything. Listen. Now she continues on to say that when she was bringing in some money, so she would bring in like $150 a day. From doing that, Mr. J would start counting her funds to add to the savings for their daughter's birth. And she said, when I could no longer work as it was impossible to suck in my pregnancy pouch, I saved about $3,000. We only needed a few thousand more to pay for June's birth. Remember that in America, you have to pay for healthcare. And unfortunately, if you do not have a good job or you're self-employed, you have to fund it yourself. Just keep that in mind. We paid off the doctor $4,800 only to discover that we had to pay another $5,000 to the hospital for the labor room rental. This was when I broke. Yes. So it is a costly thing to have health insurance in the United States. Unfortunately, they do not have universal health care as of yet. I was at my wit's end with the USA. I have never suffered this much in my entire life. It was embarrassing to call my family to admit defeat after the entire marriage was already cutting against the grain. So she was like, look, I done married a white man. That's already strike one for them. He's not even Nigerian, but he's a white man who can't even provide right now. That's not a good look for sis. Now, during this time, y'all, she auditioned in So You Think You Can Dance. She didn't mention it here in this book, but I researched and found out that she did. So I'm going to insert a clip of when she auditioned to So You Think You Can Dance, and she started to get a little bit of notoriety in America.
My name is Kora. I'm from Nigeria. I moved here about 7 months ago because of the love of my life, and I did not know that I will be blessed so quickly.
Good. We'd love to see you dance right now. And cue music.
So their first daughter arrives, and they're, cocooned in their little nest, and they're happy, even though that they're struggling financially, but they're happy. Sometimes that does happen.
Be pregnant for way too long. Hey, that's just baby mama. Please download that song because I'm going to do the challenge in the hospital.
Now, the thing is that she said that Mr. J got back on his bullcrap. All right. He was back on his BS again. He started throwing phones, throwing tantrums again. I don't know how many phones this man done broke, because she done told us he smashed a lot of phones. All right. Throughout her book, he's just sitting here wilding out, smashing phones, throwing phones on the wall like a child. Tantrums. Okay. Now, she said that he kept pacing, so I went over to help, and that's when he threw the phone just after she gave birth, y'all, after she gave birth. She said her heart was pounding at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And then she learned he was having another panic attack. Child, I don't think that was a panic attack. She calls it a panic attack. I call it an episode. That's just what it was. She said, I educated myself about the phenomenon, and I started to seek ways to help him. I forgot about myself and the way my heart skipped when he did that. I immediately focused on him. This is what he enjoyed. So he enjoyed the attention. I teased him about loving the attention as a middle child, but it became worse. So now his attention heightened, because remember, they just had a child. And sometimes that does happen, y'all. Some men, not all, because I don't need men to come up in the comment section, but when you give birth, there are some men who do not like the attention that you give to a new child. Now, let's add another research article, y'all. So there was a research published by Psych Central that said, is your partner jealous of your baby? The article goes on to list the reasons why your partner may be jealous. One reason is the lack of attention, because, once the baby's there, give less attention to the man. Child, these men are babies. I'm just being honest. Some of these men are very babyish. Like, these are children we're talking about here, not men, but I digress. Now, this is a thing that I want to mention. It says reflecting on a traumatic childhood. So sometimes if they didn't receive a lot of love from their parents and you start to give your child attention, then they also get jealous. They didn't receive the same love and support when they were a child. All right, y'all. So this is a thing, basically. I'm just trying to prove that this is an actual phenomenon. It does happen more than you think it does. So now Mr. J gets jealous of the attention that she bestows on her newborn child. And he starts to throw tantrums galore, throwing more phones, y'all. I don't know how many phones this girl had to buy. And I don't know how she afforded a phone when they were homeless. But anyway, the story doesn't really go into. I guess she made some money before they had the baby. I don't know, y'all, because she kind of skips through this, but let's continue. So then she said that she made a video for an artist, as this was her only source of income, and he didn't like that part of the video, and he called her a whore for many hours, and he proceeded to smash her phone next to the baby's bed. Okay, so now we got a little bit more context here. She said, that's when I realized I was not dealing with a sane human. Sis, I could have told you that from the first red flag. And from the time he got mad that you said hi to a brother, that was already raps right there. So now she goes into what her mindset was at the time, because sis wanted to be done with this relationship. But then she said, I thought I could take the hurt as long as it made my husband feel better. Life was hard, and I, as a wife, was supposed to make life better for the owner of my head. This was ingrained in my genetic makeup as an African woman. But the physical and emotional abuse started to take a toll on me. She just had enough. She was like, look, this man cray. He crazy. He acting. He is wilding out to the extreme. And now he's jealous of our baby. Like, this is just craziness on another level. This is another extreme level of craziness. And again, remember I told you, he probably has some mental health issues that he hasn't dealt with. So that's also added to that, because remember, this was saying he had panic attacks. So now she said during COVID that they had been fighting back to back and she was tired. But y'all, this is where I'm going to stop reading right here. I'm going to read some more afterwards. But during COVID, y'all, they was showing us a lot of videos on social media. Listen, they were showing us a lot of videos on social media. So while they were posting on social media, in the background, this is what was going on. Just crazy chaos. Dysfunctional and toxic chaos. So we're going to roll a bit of footage of what's been going on in front of the world in the public eye versus what she wrote in her book right here. Alright, so this just proves that social media is not a real place. Are there couples that have genuine relationships? Absolutely. But more often than not, I've noticed that when a couple portrays a life that seems very happy all the time, and they're curating, and you can clearly see that they curate content to put up a certain image, then usually there's something going on behind the scenes. As a social media content creator, I believe that it is our responsibility to always let people know that real life is real life. No relationship is perfect. We could see that they had issues from the beginning. This man, Mr. J, allegedly, because remember, this is in her book, I guess she don't want to get sued, he wasn't husband material from the beginning. This man could not hold himself together. And they were not a good match, according to her. But again, if you were to look at her social media, you would think that, hey, I need to find me an American white husband that's going to treat me like Mr. J treats her. And come to find out, this man was treating her worse than a dog, according to her book. Sis goes on to continue to say that she didn't deny him her body. Whenever he wanted it, she gave it to him on demand. Sis said that they moved to a new place with their daughter, and that he was screaming all the time to the point where she was embarrassed because she felt like the neighbors were going to know them as the screaming couple. And they probably did, sis, because, even though neighbors mind their business, they be hearing things. Trust me, we hear it. So she said that he had convinced her that she was the trigger of his anxiety disorders. And he said that he had never screamed at anyone before her. At that point, they were living in the apartment, but they didn't have any furniture. They were sleeping on mattresses, and that she felt lonely, and she started to question everything about her marriage again. She said that she was a housewife that cooked and did laundry. She took care of the household all the time. Now, her reality was different than the idea of the fantasy she had when she decided to move to America. Like I told y'all, it's a fantasy. And when I tell you guys, I've heard of so many stories of people outside of America that decide that they want to move to America, not just America, Canada, UK, whatever Western country, and they have this mindset and idea that it's a fantasy land. You can make a lot of money, which you can, but I don't think people explain enough that there's a lot of hard work that goes into. We got taxes, y'all. We have taxes, okay? We have things that are very expensive. The cost of living is very high. It is high to live here. It costs a price to live here, okay? So please do not think you can come here and live in a fantasy Delulu land and that everything's going to work out and you're going to be rich beyond your wildest imagination. It only happens to a small percentage of us. The majority of us work very hard for our money. What she fantasized about America was different than the reality she was living in, because sis was living in poverty, according to her. Now, they were still on social media, mind you. In the midst of this poverty, she said that she was on Instagram and she had started to make a name for herself on social media. She goes on to say, he had convinced me, so Mr. J convinced her that she was no longer smart and that her brain was rotting from constantly being on social media. At the time, I was not making much from music and dancing, partly because I couldn't perform anywhere as I had a newborn and was at home, and it was around the COVID era. My only outlet was Instagram. It kept that flicker of my dream still burning. It wasn't a complete 50-50, but I paid my bills and kept living expenses for us three below $600 a month by being consistent with eating in. I made the healthiest meals on a budget and filmed it in Kora's kitchen. So I guess it's a segment on her Instagram account. So she would edit the videos with music in it and then make sure that the music didn't die. And then she was starting to get notoriety from that. So now Mr. J decides that he wants her to quit social media because she said that he convinced her that if she quit social media, they could double their family's income. And she decided to quit cold turkey. She said no Instagram, no Twitter, no Facebook. And then she said that she had stopped breastfeeding at that time because he said she had horrible saggy tits. All right, so listen, that's what she said. So now sis says that during day 3 of her social media fast, that she had a nervous breakdown and she just couldn't take this anymore, being that she no longer had social media. She was a new mom and she felt like she just spiraled. Now, during the spiraling, she admitted to Mr. J that she had had an affair at the beginning of their marriage. Now remember, Mr. J done threw phones. And he done yelled at her, screamed at her, called her all types of names. And now he goes on the deep end here because obviously, rightfully so, he's upset because his wife cheated on him. Now, he starts filming her after she admits that she cheated on him. And he said, "Hey, cunt, I am going live now, bitch. How about you tell your millions of followers how much of a whore you are?" Now, I don't know if this was publicized on Instagram Live. I know that there are some couples, when they have a heated argument, they like to go on live and show the world what's really going on.
Am I doing what? Repeat it.
I was literally naked.
You're not, but you're not now.
I was naked.
But you're not now. Repeat
Why
what you
are you
said.
doing this?
Repeat it. Repeat it.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. You can't.
And then he had her admitted to a psych ward under 5150. All right, so now after her 5150, he tried to convince the psych ward and the doctors that she was bipolar, and they started to do all types of tests on her. But then I don't think she was ever diagnosed. She didn't say that in the book as far as I can see. But then she said that she was discharged and told to go home. On arriving home, she was told by Mr. J that child services was parked outside and they could take their daughter if she left the house. So he kept her in the house when she was discharged from the hospital after they found that she didn't have any type of mental health issues, according to them. Now, she said that she would call her family during the time and distract herself because she was basically a prisoner in her own home. After the fact, remember, he done find out she was cheating. And then he spiraled as well. After her 5150 event, that they ended up going to a party, and that she said, and I quote, "I knew he was still upset. At the back of my mind, I knew I was under punishment in the house for 2 weeks, but I didn't want to let slip into the perfectly crafted fake happiness I curated on both my IG feed and my reality." Sis was trying to keep up with the appearances. Let's be clear. So she's like, look, on the back end, you done had me admitted it to the psych ward. You tried to tell people I was bipolar, trying to make it seem like I'm crazy so you could take my daughter away from me. However, in front of folks and in front of my peoples, I got to keep up this image because we have millions of followers on social media. And we got to keep this money rolling because sis was making bank. I wanted to continue faking that I was completely happy living the American dream with my IG husband, who secretly enjoyed making me cry as my daughter watched. This is very sad, guys. This is very sad. So now she said that she went to the party to keep up with the appearances. And Mr. J embarrassed her in front of the folks, y'all. So she said, we got drunk and all I wanted was to make him happy, beg him, and pacify his anger because she's trying to keep up the image of a good, perfect marriage. Mr. J started to make a scene. Of course he did. He's still mad, sis. Hasn't been that long since you revealed that you cheated on him. So listen, it's expected. Every action has a reaction. So I can't even defend her on that. Now, can I say that he should have reacted in a different way? Absolutely, because you should not be going out here crashing out like this. But this is the reaction that he wanted to give because we already knew he wasn't wrapped up too tight. Mr. J anyways, right? Okay, so she said, Mr. J started to make a scene. Yes, bitch, he started to yell, hey guys, line up so this bitch can suck your dicks. She's good at that, you know. They call her the headmaster. You can run a train on her. She's a whore. Hey, guys. My goodness. He done did this in front of the folks at the party. Remember, she's trying to keep up the image. She said, I started to make excuses for him. He's had a little too much to drink, please. Now, I could only imagine what it was like to be at that party because I'm sure people were flabbergasted. Like, what is going on, right? On our way out, I was trying to calm him down, but he decked me so hard in the full glare of everyone. So she said that this is when he started physically abusing her. I was in the bushes with scratches all over my body. One of the guys charged at him. I immediately shoved myself out of the bush and started to plead, please leave him alone. It's okay. He's just drunk. How is this okay, Kora? My friend replied. That's a good friend right here. But I will let y'all know, don't get in the middle of folks having a domestic incident. I'm just saying this right now. What you should do and what the best thing to do is call the police. Because this could have easily escalated. And sometimes you don't know if somebody's strapped or not. So just for your safety, I would highly recommend that you do not intervene directly. Because usually they'll misdirect the anger towards you. And then more often than not, see, imagine that friend got in the middle of it. She's fighting with her husband. And then imagine that friend trying to be the hero. And let's say he was strapped. And this situation could have ended in a whole nother way. And she would have been right back with him. Don't get involved in these things. I'm telling y'all, just based off of what I've seen and also experiences that I have heard of, it is best for you not to intervene and call the authorities. That's what you should be doing. Okay, call security or authorities. Call the police if you need to. Do not get involved like this person did. Okay, that's just going to make you end up in a really bad situation. I'll just make that very clear. Now let's continue. So now she goes on to say that she was heartbroken and that she realized that she was in a very toxic situation. But my entire brand, persona, and even career were tied to this man who was hurting me, y'all. Another red flag. Listen, please do not tie your career with a man. Listen when I tell you this. Make sure you have something of your own. Because now sis is caught up in a situation where all of her deals and brands and everything else were tied to this man. And like I said, she's a very talented artist. So she actually didn't need to be tied up to him. She was a star on her own. However, she had built up a persona and curated content. and had this picture perfect family content on social media. So she knew what was at stake if she didn't follow through with this. But I'm letting you guys know, whether it be on social media, whether it be a family business, whether it be something else, do it with your husband if you want to, but not with somebody who you know is red flags galore. That's number one. Number two, if you do end up doing something with your husband, make sure you have something on your own to stand on in case things don't work out. Always have a contingency plan, guys, because nothing is forever. And that's whether you get divorced, become widowed. There are so many unexpected life experiences that happen. Life has taught all of us that sometimes things just don't go the way you want it to, and you have to prepare for this. So I would highly recommend that you have something on your own. Do not tie your whole entire career or your whole entire life around somebody. So during that time, she penned the song Toxic Love. I'm gonna let y'all see a few snippets of this video. So now sis went back to Nigeria. When she was in Nigeria, she was offered the opportunity to do a big performance, and then he tried to stop that, and he said that if you do this performance, then we're gonna get a divorce. But then she said she's still gonna go on to perform. She went on to perform, then he acted like he was super happy about it. Y'all, toxic, just toxic love, okay? Toxic. Now, what ended up happening here is that she went back to America thinking that things were gonna work out. And her father counseled them, put them in prayer and fasting, and even went on his knees to beg Mr. J to please not destroy his family name by dissolving the marriage. Y'all, family influence is so deep. This man, according to her, was physically abusive, emotionally abusive. And he was awful. Just an awful human being. Trash husband at his finest. There is no praying or fasting that is going to change that. I am being extremely honest with you guys. Now, do I think some people can be redeemable? That's up to the Lord himself to figure that out. But in my eyes, if somebody is already displaying that type of behavior towards you, there is no reason to continue that marriage. That marriage should have been dissolved years prior. And it's sad that her family was encouraging them to still stick it out, even though he was abusive towards her. That, to me, is already grounds for divorce. Infidelity on her end, abuse on his end. This is raps. There's no reason why y'all need to be together. It's just toxic. So now they went back to America. Remember, her dad done fasted, prayed, cried, begged for him not to shame the family name. Went back to America. He had another panic attack, y'all. And he had another episode. Started throwing phones, screaming, smashed another phone. Like I told y'all, he done smashed so many phones. And then she actually made the decision and said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to leave. Now, she said that therapy was mandatory for everyone who had some sort of mental break. Because remember, she was held on a 5150 hold at the psychiatric hospital. So this was a mandated therapy session. And she said that they insisted that before she went on medication, she had to have a psychological evaluation. And so she had that. And then they started to fight again. Y'all, they was fighting all the time, y'all. I can't keep track of how many times she said that they had arguments. Now, do I believe her story? Absolutely. It ties up and lines up with a lot of things. And I am inclined to believe her record of events. Again, there's always going to be his side, her side, and the truth. And as we know, I am pro-woman on this channel, so we just gonna listen to her side right now. Listen, we gonna listen to his side soon in his videos, but we gonna listen to her side first. Now, this is an important part. She said that his mother knew that he was abusing her. And matter of fact, most of the times that he abused her, he would call his mama up afterwards. And his mama knew. Let's just put it that way. Now, I done told y'all before, behind every narcissistic abuser is an enabling mother. They go hand in hand. So I'm not shocked. And that's why I believe sis, because this is something that has been shown time and time again. They are always going to be behind the most atrocious behavior of their children. They will stand behind their ain't shit sons. Just being honest. So this is not surprising to me. And this just further validates why I believe sis. Now, she said that his mother said, well, it sounds like you both were going at it with each other after one argument. That's all she had to say, y'all. That's all she had to say. Another development that we find out is Mr. J was married before. So this is his second marriage, y'all. That's another red flag. Listen, I gotta be honest. I have to be honest. Do divorced people deserve a second chance? Absolutely. Not everyone who has been divorced shouldn't be given another chance to get married. However, the first divorce and the reasons why he divorced will be an indicator of your marriage. So now the reason that he said he got divorced was that he said that she cheated on him and he caught her having intercourse with another man. And she said that she found that repulsive. So that's when he first told her he got a divorce and why. But again, I'm going to let y'all know, don't just listen to your man's side of the story. Always go find the other woman. I'm telling y'all. Because the other woman will tell you the truth. There's no reason for the other woman to lie. So had she reached out to the other woman instead of being repulsed, she might have found out some information that could have saved her from this toxic nightmare. However, sis decided to believe him. So in the midst of them fussing and fighting and him breaking phones yet again, she found out that she's pregnant with their second child, y'all. Now sis done got pregnant again. Now she said that while she was pregnant, he yanked her while she was trying to go for a walk. And he said, "Where do you think you're going?" And he yanked her so hard that it sent a shockwave from her shoulder to her waist. And a few days later, she bled out and the baby came out in huge blood clots after hours of cramping. So this ended up experiencing a miscarriage after this. And when she experienced this miscarriage, she told his mom what he did. So he yanked her. Remember, he yanked her and then it sent a shockwave. And then after that, she had the miscarriage. His mom said, well, you can't blame him for that. It's not fair. So now sis says how she started to take social media more seriously around this time. And she started to go live and do live streams. And she wanted to be financially independent. So I think sis was starting to plan her escape at this point. And she started treating her lives and her social media presence like a 9-to-5. And now she's starting to make a lot of money on IG and Facebook. And she said that he would start to control everything, and how he started to control her money and started to control everything related to her social media accounts. All right, so now sis ends up hiring a nanny. And this nanny was starting to act weird after a while, and she was also a dancer. And then she said that she found her dancing for Mr. J. In the beginning, she bonded with this nanny and told her all her business. Listen, stop confiding in the help, y'all. And also, you gotta be careful who you let live in your house. She was caught in this triangulation that she couldn't understand, because he was telling the nanny and pillow talking, saying that his wife is crazy, she's bipolar, and it's crazy to be living with her. And now 1 week after the nanny moved in, Mr. J shows up from work and tells me he doesn't feel like seeing my face that night, and decided to kick her out on the streets, but the nanny and the baby stayed in the house with him. This man had emptied my account and ordered me out his house in the middle of the night in LA, and I had no one to call. I was lost. So now she tries to get back in the house. Nanny's like, well, did Mr. J let you back in the house? Nanny done took over her house. That heifer done took over her whole entire house, okay, trying to replace her. Male-identified women do this very often. The pick-me's of the world. They will believe the man over the woman and then find a way to, get inside of the man's good graces and become the new chick, okay? They think that they're better than the old chick, child. We done seen this time and time again. I don't even need to give examples or research about that. Now, let's continue. So he basically was telling everyone she's a horrible mother. She went and told her family. And now, finally, her family's like, okay, this is enough. We're done. Thank you. Thank God, family. And so they started to spiritually distance themselves away from Mr. J. So now she goes on to say, Mr. J and the new nanny had ganged up together. It was an uncomfortable couple of days as I refused to leave my own home again. Now they are having a face-off, all right, her against the nanny in the house. So she's like, I'm not leaving my own house. And the nanny is still there. Nanny threatened to call Child Protective Services for negligence and basically threatening to have her arrested. Now, eventually, Mr. J paid her $2,000, the nanny, and then she left, but she rained curses on her way out. Nanny was calling her a whore, negligent mother, all of these things. Okay, listen, nanny's an idiot. All right, so now after this whole nanny debacle, they get pregnant yet again. So now baby number 3 is here. So remember, the second baby was a miscarriage. Now she's pregnant again. And she said, we got pregnant again. I was determined for my girl to be free. I didn't know what my motivation was, but somehow I felt a sense of urgency. I felt like there was an impending emergency I had to get ready for. I was working. So then she continues to say, I thought documenting my pregnancy journey would be amazing and help with the money. I pitched the idea and he resisted, but finally agreed with restrictions and roadblocks here and there that I had to carefully navigate to have the dream of documenting this come through. All right, sis was still focused on the social media bag. She saw money start pouring in, and she opened up her account and deposited money into it. And again, Mr. J, who likes to control things, wasn't too happy about this, and he forced her to send her paycheck to him every month. He said that the government needed him to pay his student loans ASAP, and the urgent stories about the interest rates. Now, I believe sis about this because being that he comes from a small town of about 19,000. Then he moved to LA in 2016 to become a practicing chiropractor in Los Angeles area. And remember, it's very expensive. Remember, she said they were homeless, and he probably got a lot of student loans. So, based on my calculations, that lets me know that I do believe this part, because a lot of doctors, Americans who are not from wealthy families, do have to pay back student loans, and America has some of the highest interest rates on student loans. So I believe her on this. I feel like it's extortion, to be quite honest with you, my opinion. Now, she said one day I was screamed at from 9 to 4. Damn, this man was psychotic. And he didn't stop until I transferred $10,000 to him, Lord. Then when she was 4 months pregnant, he had her removed as his admin on Instagram and changed his password. Right after, I grew his page to over 100,000 followers. So he had his own page, started feeling himself, had all the pick of the litter for the women going after him, knowing that behind the background, he's a menace.
Who was interested first? Who said I love you first? Who's more protective? Who cleans more? Who eats the most?
But she's not letting us know that. So people are following him thinking that he's actually a genuine man.
Of course. Do you like my artwork?
What is that?
What is this? This is your push gift. Double stroller. And the 6. Let's see.
not get to you talk to him. You better come home that way, you better. What side is that true? Well, the side's on this one is on us.
Kora went to Nigeria for our friend's wedding, 5 months pregnant, and slept with this woman's fiance. So she was sleeping around while pregnant with my child, and I saw the text messages that they took from his phone. And here they are. I removed names to protect the people that told me about this. Seems like you've improved your skills. Kora, did you just insult me? Abibu, whatever. It feels like you were reaching my womb. Okay. It felt like, hopes I didn't tamper with Justin's unborn baby, Athena. Nah, the baby... Where'd that other one go? So I was upset because I found out that my ex-wife had been sleeping around while pregnant with our daughter, which is very risky business, which, you know, like you get an STD or something while you're pregnant, that's a big deal.
She said she begged him not to post. And she went to the floor. Please, I beg you, please don't do this. My sister begged, my father begged, and my elders prayed. We don't have a lot, but we have a good name. The Obidi name is not associated with divorce. So I think that's, oh, wow. It looks like she was probably the first one to get divorced in her family. No problem cannot be fixed. The entire village was activated. We all begged. I held onto his feet as he kicked me away like a leper. Sis, no. You should have been the one walking away, but you know what? This is what happens when culture runs deep, y'all. When I tell y'all, a lot of traditions and cultures will have you acting this way in a sense that, like, it is seen as a bad thing to get divorced. Now, remember, a few pages ago, sis was confident to leave, but I think she wanted to be the one to pull the trigger. So she said he had gone too far, delete it. Please, we have 2 daughters. Please look at your newborn. She is still fresh out the womb. Please consider us. I groveled for hours as my infant cried for her mother. He refused. I have to protect myself, he retorted. I didn't understand what he meant. But when all the news articles in the country started to pour in, there was no protecting anything. He came from work one morning while I was in bed with Athena. He started to try to start an argument. I was not interested. He grabbed my phone from me and started to delete things, voice notes, and all evidences of abuse he could find. Y'all, sis was going out sad. She was going out sad. She was begging him, pleading with him. Now, listen, this is what her book said. Allegedly, Mr. J was having an affair with a 19-year-old who was threatening him. And he threw me under the towel to save skin. So come to find out, he was the one having an affair. And he wanted to expose the news first before the other young woman was able to tell her truth.
Well, welcome once again to talk about Dr. Justin's subject. We never had an affair. Actually, we were friends. I talked to Nancy, and Nancy offered me money to talk about him. I did. I agreed first. But I felt bad about it, so I stopped it. And she said he called me as a cheap whore. So of course I got absurd about him, but I was angry because I was called as a cheap whore. So I hope you all understand that the commentaries that I made about Dr. Justin Dean are not true. I was just angry. That was totally emotional. I'm at university right now, and we never had nothing. I would like to let it clear. We never had nothing.
I had to hop back in because post-editing, I actually went back because I like to do this. I like to go back and make sure that I got all my receipts before I post. And lo and behold, I was able to find more. Before I start going through the receipts, y'all know I like to read them line by line. Shout out to Linda Akaiji's blog. Thank you so much because you made my life easier. You were probably one of the only sources that still had the receipts up. It was really hard to find this. So shout out to you, sis. Now, the article is titled Kora Obidi's sister Nancy Ume releases her chats with Justin Dean's alleged mistress as she denies Justin's claims that she paid the woman to accuse him. Now, the article reads, Kora Obidi's elder sister Nancy Ume has released screenshots of the messages she received from the 19-year-old woman Justin Dean allegedly cheated on Kora with. Kora and her sister did a Facebook Live video where Kora provided receipts, quote unquote, as she accused Justin of cheating in the marriage and physically abusing her. So now we find out that both of them are cheaters. Because remember, Kora admitted that she cheated when they got spiritually married, and Justin allegedly cheated when they got legally married. So either way, both of them are cheaters, all right? So let's just keep going with this. He claimed Kora cheated with multiple men while she was 4 months pregnant with their second child. He also claimed she had threesomes with two popular Nigerian artists while she was pregnant, and he named the artist.
And she is trying everything she can to destroy me because she thinks I'm going to tell people she cheated when she was pregnant, that she had threesomes with Peruzzi and I Am Some Case, and she had threesomes with all these different people. She would organize threesomes for these men.
Reacting to the allegation that he cheated with a 19-year-old Brazilian woman, he said he's just friends with the woman and that she was paid to say she had an affair with him. Now, listen, I don't like to get in people's business too much about their friendships with married people, but it is very strange. I just find that it is very, very strange that he was friends with a 19-year-old. That doesn't make sense, sir. You are too grown to be friends with a teenager. So that lets me know that there was definitely something to it. And I'm going to have to agree with Kora and her sister that he was doing dirt too. Equal dirt. Okay, both of them. Both of them was doing dirt on each other. All right, let's go through these screenshots, y'all. This is going to be another one. Okay, so it looks like her sister, Nancy, uploaded a picture of him, the mistress, and some young gentleman. I don't know, three of them look like they're having a good old funky time in Brazil. Now, again, why is he on this trip while his wife is pregnant? No one will ever know. Now, this is a screenshot that she sent of proof that he was in relations with this young woman. So I can't really read what's at the top here, but I think it says, if you come back to Brazil and stay with another girl, I'll be very hurt. In Brazil, there's just me for you. So baby girl is saying that. Mrs. 19. Hey, I'm in the DR for work. Okay, I know. I don't want you with a Republican girl. I would be very mad. Oh, so he not in Brazil? This ain't Brazil? Oh, yeah, they was. Okay, so it looks like they were in Brazil for the picture. Because, look, I don't want people talking about, you don't know your countries. All right, here it says Leblon, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And I guess the girl is in the DR. I don't know. Listen, I'm just reading screenshots. All right, I just don't want you with a Republican girl. I would be very mad. Kora is pregnant. I'm not thinking of such things. Interesting. You say you didn't want to you didn't got babies anymore. Okay, I guess she's saying, you say you ain't had no more babies. I trusted you. He said, accident. I loved you. Fuck. My goodness, this man is horrible. So trash. All right, let's continue to the next screenshot. So, hey, Nancy, I was directed to talk to you about one case. People told me you would be interested about knowing this. I had an affair with Justin Dean on early 2020 to 2021, and I can prove it. I'm gonna go with I believe that he was having an affair. That's just my opinion, guys. Allegedly. Okay, let's continue. I never said nothing to anyone because he asked me to, but I'm already blocked from all his social medias. You don't say. It happened when he was in Brazil and your sister in Lagos. They were in crisis, I think. I was 18 at the time. Now I'm in 19. To be fair, they were always in crisis, but let's continue. We talked for a couple months. All right. So now here's the picture of her kissing his forehead. And I don't lie opposite of him. And she even put the shrug emoji. So sis was very bold. Thank you, Marie. He swore on his daughters that he never saw anyone in Brazil. Psh, yeah. When these men be taking trips abroad, listen, I'm just going to say, there's a lot of stuff that goes down when men go abroad. Men who go on these solo trips, they're not really solo trips, guys. They be getting it in. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's continue. If you need more confirmation, there's my friends and cousins too. I took months to recover myself after him even became alcoholic. Drinking, thinking about him is something I don't need to keep in silence anymore. I guess Nancy wrote, are you still blocked on his social media? She said, yes, I do. I think she meant I am. There's a fake account that I made when he blocked first and we back to talk. Okay, so they went back to talking. So it's 2 Instagrams that he blocked, and then she put the names of the 2. I'll block those out because that's no longer relevant. He didn't only block on... Okay, so I think she meant he didn't block only on Facebook. So only on Facebook, he didn't block her. Did he tell you he was married at the time? The girl says, yes. He used the same word about your sister, narcissistic, said they were in crisis. All right, and then it cuts off here, but something about beautiful man. I was 18. He tried to say that his name was Wade, but I soon found out the truth, and he said about crisis that she was in Lagos and he was in Brazil. I can't play the video because it's just an image of a video. But y'all, that is his middle name because y'all gonna see soon in the court records that are public record that I was able to find online. Public records, y'all. It's literally on Google. That's his middle name. So listen, this is pretty accurate. She called him at that day at this time. That's why he's thinking a lot on the video. So now Nancy says, okay, interesting. And then Gabby said, I saw her calling. Let's continue. At the topic cuts off again. Didn't know he actually had a relationship with you. I guess that's Nancy talking. And then Gabby said, that's so like him on the other side. Funny because he was a gentleman, then he wasn't anymore. Sounds just like what Kora said. I spent days sleeping in the same bed as him. Even my mom liked him. He's a motherfucker. Cheap girl, man. I'm not even interested in money because I have everything I want and I have an amazing life. Also, I do international relations for free in a university on my way to be a diplomat. Him, he's nothing. He's Kora's shadow, just this. I'm not interested in fame also. I just think he's a fucker. Also, he said to me, if it wasn't Kora, we would marry me. This is on vanish mode on Instagram. He used this tool a lot. Okay, so basically he promising her the world. Just like all these men who have mistresses, y'all. They ain't never gonna leave their wife until they want to leave their wife. Next screenshot. All right, so then Gabby continues to say he would. I guess she corrected herself. Then she said, my friends and cousins know it well. And I'm sure he's really concerned about his debt university because it was around $200,000, wasn't it? I told y'all about these American student loans. And then she said, oh, wow, yes, it was. And my sister was paying it off for him from the proceeds of her online business. So you see, the girl bought it up herself. She wasn't even probed to say that. So that just lets you know that what sis said in her book is accurate. So like I said, one thing about it and 2 things for sure. She didn't have a reason to lie. I believe everything she said in that book because it lines up perfectly with everything that I was able to discover and also things that I know offhand. I know that it's expensive to go to school in America. I know that it's expensive to get student loans and people be griping about it. And he looks like the type 50-50 type. Brokey. I'm telling y'all, it all lines up. All right, so let's continue. Gabby says, I know it's a big debit. He mentioned that. He stressed about money. So that's why he went and got with Kora. This man is smart. But then to be fair, they did meet in Shanghai before he ended up moving to LA. But remember, before she moved to Shanghai, she had already released the single Man Like You. So she was already popping in Nigeria, and it's possible that he was able to see that she had a bit of a following on Google and, you know, looked her up. I'm telling you, this is a new era now. These men are tricking. They coming out and looking for their victims. They are no longer hiding it. This is not the first time or the first story that I've covered where a man is plotting. They are plotting on these women now. They plotting on them, trying to ride the women's coattails. Let's continue to the next screenshot. So these are Nancy's words. Poor thing, only 19, deeply abused. I pray you find your way out of his life before it's too late. I chatted with you because you said you wanted closure and now I asked to pay you. I would like to see evidence for that. Justin says he would marry you. You already have the burden of this student loans at just 19 years old. Oh Lord, I feel so bad for you, Marie. May God help you. We are already in the mess. So your advice about being quiet is quite expired. When it happens to your family, throw the abuser a tea party and massage his ego until he kills your sister. Do not come into my DM with your advice. You have not walked in her shoes. It took so long for her to get to this point, and I will not let you hypocrites enable an abuser to take my sister's life in the name of maturity. Facts. At the end of the day, y'all, he was an abuser according to her. So, and it's so crazy how people always take the side of an abuser, especially when it comes in pale form. If you know, you know. All right. So now Nancy's last words were, please stop tagging me. I'm going to bed now. My sister's WhatsApp background has never been plain. You all know that those screenshots are fabricated because he can't prove that the numbers chatting actually belong to my sister. You see how I proved that his mistress was indeed chatting with him? He should show the numbers if them born AM well. He always says Nigerians are stupid, but come on, you guys can't recognize a Joro to Joro when you can see it. And yet, he is very condescending. I'm gonna get to them videos. And then she also wrote, friends get angry that their wife is pregnant. And then she put crying face emojis. And then she has his number here, y'all. She posted the man's number. She had unprotected sex with him for weeks in Brazil, and she couldn't stand it. She goes on to say, I guess she was sick of him too and decided to end it before she went public. Oh, Lord. Then she said the last came about her and he told her to leave the house, move out. She knew he wanted his cream home to himself. My use was over. It was raining, so I took the girls out in the car and started to search for apartments. All right. So she said, all the years of threats were now a reality. I lost consciousness and fell straight to the ground. My knees buckled under my body. All right, so now he done took her kids, y'all. He done announced the divorce, took her children. And she said, Mom, Mr. J has taken my newborn away. Can you please talk to him? And his mama said, well, you know divorces are messy. Child, we already knew his mama was not going to listen to you. I done told y'all before, the mom is the ops. I knew from the beginning, once she excused his abusive behavior, it was raps already. Lord, she was never going to be on your side, especially as you as a black woman. He comes from a possibly sundown town. We don't even know, child. So then basically she goes on to say that the news hit social media, and then she goes on to talk about her final freedom. Now, let's get to the videos.
She would kept saying it over and over and again, and I said, you can't say this to June. She understands what you're saying. June's crying. I attempted to take June out of the room, and I said, you can't be around your daughter if you're saying this type of stuff. And she came across the room, my mom's on the phone, we'll testify this in court, and violently ripped June out of my hands, and very close dislocated June's shoulder. The next that was when I posted online that I was divorcing my wife and I can't be treated this way anymore. When I went live and said, say it again, it was that she regretted June being born.
Am I doing what? Repeat it.
I was literally naked.
You're not, but you're not now.
I was naked.
But you're not now. Repeat
Why
what you
are you
said.
doing this?
Repeat it. Repeat it.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Repeat it. Repeat it. Repeat it. You can't.
Now y'all know that I'm trying my hardest to condense this into one video. Whew, but the accusations, y'all. So let's get into what her ex-husband has accused her of. So he has accused her of cheating while she was pregnant. He said that she went to Nigeria for a wedding and slept with her friend's fiance. He made it seem like this woman thou art loose, like she was just hoeing around everywhere in Nigeria, child. So this man was coming up with lies about her. So y'all done heard his side of the story. Look, frankly, personally speaking, it's very much given that he's getting ahead of what this is. And again, he's trying to gain public sympathy based on the information that he has given. Now, this marriage was toxic on both sides. Let's be clear. Neither one of them is innocent. Someone asked, are you still married to Kora or divorced? Then he said, I'm filing paperwork this week. I will always be there for my children and wish her the best. This has absolutely nothing to do with postpartum depression. Now, again, this is the second time he mentioned that. So he wants the world to know that this woman is not depressed. She just had a baby, but do not say it's postpartum depression, because he knows that women will most likely be like, hey, she just had a baby. This makes sense. Maybe she's just not feeling like herself. But he's like, nah, this ain't got nothing to do with depression, as if he is a psychologist or a clinical psychiatrist. This man is a chiropractor. So how would he have known whether this has anything to do with postpartum depression or not? But I digress. Anyways, in his mind, he is saying that it's because of her cheating all over the damn place. Now, another thing I want to mention is that I was able to find the court records of their divorce. Because remember, he said in his screenshot that he was going to file first. Remember, that's what he wrote right there. He said, I'm going to file first. However, you know, the thing about the American legal system is that there are a lot of things that are public record. And so I was able to find their court documents. Now, was I able to get into them extensively? No, because I'm not paying for that. That's not my job here, okay? I am not a private investigator. I only go by what's available to the public. Anything that I got to pay for behind a paywall is not going to be shared. Now, here, under their case summary, it says here on March 30th, 2022, Dean, Chukwufumnaya Anita. Now, that's her name on Wikipedia, and in this book, she even calls herself. Matter of fact, right here, y'all see the name? Here. What does that say? Okay. Now, look at this paperwork. Who filed? Dean Chukwufumnaya Anita filed a divorce/separation, marriage dissolution, divorce lawsuit against Dean Justin Wade. This case was filed in Los Angeles County Superior Courts, Stanley Moss Courthouse, located in California. The judge overseeing this case is Nord Scott J. The case status is closed. Y'all following? All right, good. So now let's Google, because I had to make sure. Y'all know I like to do my research. I wrote in Google, listen, Google. AI could tell you. Even AI can tell you. What is a divorce/separation, marriage dissolution, divorce lawsuit? Because the word lawsuit kind of threw me off. I'm like, is that a lawsuit, a counter lawsuit, or is that the original petition? It says in California, because remember they're in LA, right? In California, a marriage dissolution lawsuit, also known as a divorce, is a legal proceeding to end a marriage or domestic partnership, while a legal separation allows couples to separate their lives without ending the marriage. And then it goes on to say a dissolution of marriage or dissolution of domestic partnership is the legal term for divorce in California. California is a no-fault state, by the way, as well. So that means you don't need to prove wrongdoing by another spouse to get a divorce. All right. So the divorce process involves filing a petition and summons, serving the other party, and potentially going to court to resolve issues like property division, child custody, and spousal support. So we done caught this man in a lie already. Remember, he said that I'm filing paperwork this week. Where the paperwork at, sir? Because it looks like Kora done beat you to it. Kora was the one who filed for divorce, according to these court records that are made public. Okay, that's the first lie we done caught him in, y'all. That's the first one. Let's see if we catch him in any more. He started asking for spousal support and legal support. He started asking for sis to pay up.
When he asked for the children full custody, but now he's asking for spousal support. I was gonna not talk about this anymore, but this is not ending. It's unending, and the more I don't want to grovel, you guys are going through divorce with me. You're going through divorce with me. This is what is happening. I have been paying $1,800 on school fees and health insurance for my daughters since February. This man has not contributed $1 just for me to get something from my attorney today, telling me point plain that he is asking for spousal support, and he is asking for basically my children to immediately, it's called an expert, be immediately taken away from me. Yes. Co-parent in peace is a lie. This is not what co-parenting in peace looks like, and I'm thankful, Chukunam. I'm thankful that the judge and people are seeing through all of this ruse. I think that it's time for us to just sue for defamation. I think it's time for us to go in, guys, because I literally just got, he wants me to start to pay him now. He wants me to pay him money, spousal support. And I was gonna be quiet about this, but silence is only, once you've been intimidated to silence, that's what happens. I will never teach my children silence. This man, I met him. I'm not going to say anything about it, but God knows that I helped him to grow to the best of my ability. My entire life was dedicated to him. And now he filed something to rip me, separate me from my daughters. How is that helping my daughters? If you care about your children, why are you hurting the mother? I just got this from my lawyer. Thank God that it was denied. Thank God that it was denied by the lawyer. Thank God that the law is playing fair, and thank God that they're not looking at any skin. I'm just grateful that it was denied. I'm not supposed to air this, but I'm not gonna be intimidated to silence. And you guys have been with me. You've been my support since the jump. So I'm not gonna hide this either, because I know hiding it is not strength, it's failure. And I want to put this behind. I want us to settle in peace, co-parent in peace. This is what I want to do. By God's grace, this is what I want to do. And then I'm saying all of this. We can't sleep on this anymore. There's been defamation in this case. He has called me all sorts of things. He has done all sorts of things. there's been a lot, and we can't sleep on it anymore. There's no co-parenting in peace, because this is not how peace works. This is not how peace works. So,
Hi, Kora.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. Coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, my partner's back there. Okay. Where's the baby?
She's right there.
Hi, baby. Athena, right?
Yep.
Hi, Athena. Oh, you sick? A cold? Oh. How are you? How are you? Baby. It says here she was taken to the doctor. Were you aware of that?
I take her to the doctor as well, but yeah, I was not informed.
So you were not informed that she went to the doctor maybe last week?
He said something about I lied about.
I went to go pick June up, and June was missing. I went to the gate. I talked to the teacher. She said, someone came to pick June up by 1 o'clock. Now June's school closes at 2:50, something like 3. This is a brand new school. June started school yesterday. She didn't even finish a whole day of her second day of school, and her father went to pick her up from school. June was missing. So first thing I did was, I was like, oh my God. I went to the office. When I was registering June, I did not want to, bring any drama to the new school. I registered, June. I didn't even talk about any divorce or anything. I put the name of both parents. So that is how he was able to go to a school and kidnap her, basically. And I was like, where is June? So June is not here. I went to school and I couldn't pick June up. June is with her father right now. My hands are up. June was kidnapped from school. My hands are up. He should come and carry Athena. Let him come and carry her. I'm not fighting custody battle with anybody this year. June was kidnapped from school. I went to her school where I just finished registering her, and her father had picked her up by 1 o'clock. He didn't even let the poor girl finish a day in school. This is the second day of school. This is the second day of school. He didn't even let the child finish the day at school. To prove what point? I don't know. Call the police and tell them what? Tell them what? That their father kidnapped is his child now. The sad thing is the girl did not even finish school. She didn't finish her second day of school. Oh, someone came and picked her up at 1 o'clock. But school ends at 3. That's to show you the level of... There's no care for June, actually. It's just for ego. It's just for I have more power than you. You can't tell me what to do. It doesn't have anything to do with the child's well-being. It doesn't have anything to do with June's education. It's just about ego and the facts. This is mine. Now, I want to publicly say this as a public service announcement. I do not have any interest in an ego battle with any idiot. I'm not in any ego battle with anybody. If you want to come and pick your kids up, you want to spend time, even when it's my turn, feel free to ask me. I'm 100% okay with you spending time with your kids. It's not about a power tussle. It's not a thing. My own is, let the girl finish school, a full day of school. Let the girl finish a full day of school. You should not cut her day in half. She's a growing child, a 4-year-old. For the entire time, yes, my queen. For the entire time I've been doing this divorce, I've been trying to filter out the shock wave of divorce on myself so that it doesn't get down to trickle down to the kids, because I really don't want, the thing that happens to kids that are from divorced homes. I'm trying so hard to make sure that that is not the story of my children. But a father going to pick a child up in the middle of a school day, that's what causes children to be products of a divorced home, because there's no stability. I'm trying to create as much stability as possible. Don't give him the attention. He has already gotten the attention. He has gotten it. He knows how to get it. He has gotten it. Do you know who I am? Thank you for 200 stars. Cecile Bryce, thank you for 100 stars. When you pick a child up in the middle of a school day to prove a point to God knows who, that you have power,
it shows clearly that you do not care about that child's education. You don't care about the child's well-being. You don't even care about the child's future. But at the end of the day, I am not going to go back and forth on the internet or in person with a person who is crazy. My own is make sure that June goes to school. And all the CPS and all the people that are supposed to be in charge of the kids' welfare, I hope you're watching and you're seeing what's going on. You see exactly what's going on. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to be a stupid drama-filled fest. What is going to happen is the welfare services are going to come in and extract the children when you're picking them up in the middle of the day. That means you don't care. That means you don't care about the welfare of the children or their education. It's all selfish. And if you're gonna pick June, you better come get Athena, because I want both of them to get together. They always have to be together. I want them to have that camaraderie.
Mom.
Yes, my queen. You want June?
Yeah.
And she said that he basically took all her money.
Hi. It's okay, Mommy. I did not want to speak about my divorce in public. It was a decision I made knowing that the internet never forgets, and considering and putting my children first and not putting my need to clean things out first. Considering my family, which are my kids, and not having the need to come and justify myself in public, let's put it at that. But at this juncture, I have no choice but to do what I'm doing right now. I've been working my face off. Because I've just gotten my first lawyer's bill. It's outrageous. Do you guys know how much a lawyer costs? I did not envisage that I would be paying lawyer fees in LA. I have gotten a lot of bills, my rent, my car note, everything, no problem. I don't like to come on here. I just do what I have to do for my kids and for myself. But at this juncture, being quiet is not helping me at all. It's not helping me at all. And I cannot continue being quiet. I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I'm just going to have to say this. Today, Justin Dean, I sent mistakenly to the joint account, that was the only account I had in America for 3 years until I opened my own personal account. He telling me I didn't need an account, I don't need any account, until one day he came home and told me get out of the house and empty the account. I had nothing. That's when I knew I had to open my account.
Hey, Mommy, it's a football.
It's a football.
Come, let's play. Okay.
Justin went in the joint account. I had mistakenly sent $5,000 there for rent and a bunch of, I sent it for my PayPal. I didn't know that the account linked to the PayPal was still the joint account. He emptied the account, and he has downright stolen from me. This is daylight robbery. We're separated, and he has stolen from me and my girls blatantly. I've messaged him, hey, can you please return this money that you have stolen from me and my girls? And he said, trying to accuse me of stealing his gold or whatever. I don't know what he's talking about, but he just stole $5,000 from I and my girls. We have lawyer fees, we have rent to pay. At this point, he wants us to be homeless. At this point, what he wants is for us to be homeless, to be on the streets. All I'm doing is trying to create a home for my girls. I don't want to be antagonized, victimized, and treated like a horse that is working for a slave master. I don't want to be antagonized and victimized, because this money was money I made for my promotions for my girls. I sent them to pay the rent. I sent it by mistake to the joint account. He has emptied the accounts. He has emptied my accounts. He's stealing from me at this point.
And remember, he's not giving you money.
He's not giving me any money for the food, for the girls, nothing. I'm taking care of these girls by myself. And he's stealing from us.
He should.
I mistakenly sent it to the joint.
For the children. The children need milk. You went up at night to feed them, but
he's not here.
And he's stealing money from your account.
I put that money by mistake. I put that money in the joint account by mistake. He has emptied the account now. I have to be strong. I know I have to be strong for my girls. But this is something that comes online and it's tarnishing my image, tarnishing my reputation, tarnishing everything. And because I have been choosing to be silent, now he's taking advantage of it. He's taking advantage of it. He's taking advantage of me being silent because of my brand, being silent because of my children, being silent because I don't want to air a dirty linen in public. Now he's blatantly stealing. I didn't want to cry. I'm not crying. I have reported to my lawyers. They said I should send them the proof, so I sent them the screenshots of this. He's blatantly stealing I am the one with the kids. I have the two girls. I'm taking care of them. I'm taking care of the girls. And he's basically stealing the money that I have never asked him for one kobo, one dime to feed the children. One dime I haven't asked.
Let him give any of the gold that she took. Because there's no gold there. No one taking everything out. Where's the gold?
Mommy, you want?
I don't know how much the bill of a lawyer was. You're in court because of him.
I'm in court because of him. There's a $21,000 so far bill for the lawyer. I haven't even thought about how I'm going to pay that one. He is stealing the money that I am trying to make ends meet. I am here trying to make ends meet, and he's stealing the money. I'm not going to go into the past. I did not want to talk about anything in my marriage, but at this point, he is stealing in broad daylight. He is stealing from me. Stealing from my children. I have a screenshot where he transferred out the money to his checking account. And I have a screenshot of me sending him, please send the money back. And he's telling me, you should send me my money in gold. I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. I have no clue what he's saying. But at this point, I am no longer silent. I am going to come out and I'm going to talk about all the abuse. I'm going to talk about everything. If he keeps stealing from my girls, I will not sit here and watch a man take advantage of me and my girls. I will fight. I will fight with my last blood if he thinks he's gonna come and steal from me and my girls. I haven't done anything to deserve this. I'm not the first woman who is getting a divorce in America, and I will not be the last. But I'm not gonna be silent anymore. If he does not return this money, if he doesn't return this money, and I will come out with all my evidence. I will show him for who he really is. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Kora, the quiet, mature Kora. That Kora is gone. I am gonna fight. Yes, I'm gonna fight for my children. I'm a mother. I'm gonna fight. Yes, I'm gonna fight.
This man not only took that money, but he cleared out the account. Now, this situation is exactly why I said that even if you have a joint account with your husband, you should have a separate account for yourself, because sis could have easily avoided that. Now, the fact that she had a joint account with him where she had a lot of money stored, that gave him access to be able to siphon everything in there. So he took her funds, y'all, and then he was asking for support. Now, after he done drug her name all through social media and said she's a whore, he ended up coming back and apologizing and saying, actually, no, she did not cheat on me with multiple men. She only cheated on me one time.
The comments that I made about Kora being a chronic cheater were inaccurate, to my knowledge. She cheated at the beginning of the relationship. It caused a rift. I have forgiven her, and we have tried to move on. All the comments about these children not being mine are absolutely false. These are my children. I love them. And all other statements that I made in that post are accurate and correct.
She only cheated on him once when they first got married, which is what she admitted to in her book. So sis already cleared that up in her book. Now, in the midst of this, people were calling him Dustin, because they basically called him Dusty, and y'all know his name is Justin. Lord, the Nigerians, y'all really drugged that man. They was saying that he's a quack doctor. He's not a real doctor. This man had to come out and say he was educated. Y'all, it's a mess, okay? So I'm gonna let y'all watch this.
You don't know as much as me, okay? Because I actually went to school for this shit. Thank you for this public service announcement. I'm tired of just playing coy and just pretending like this stuff is just not on the internet and just people are just saying this shit. Public schools are free. How do public schools work in the United States of America? In every state in America, I believe. When you buy a house, it's not like in Africa. You can't just buy a house and it's yours forever. You have to pay taxes on that house called property taxes, okay? Those property taxes go to fund public programs such as schools, okay? So technically schools aren't free for homeowners. The idea is the higher the value of your home, the more your property taxes are, okay? So if you live in a nicer area, you generally go to nicer, better funded schools, okay? Okay? I know what I'm doing when it comes to educating and for my children. That's why I hired a preschool teacher as my nanny, a retired 30-year top-rated preschool teacher as my nanny.
One thing that I did not like was the fact that he was acting as if these Nigerian fans were dumb. And I don't like that because that just showed me a bit of his supremacist tendencies, which aligns with what she said in the book. Based on how he was talking to people on IG and making these little retortive videos, let me know that he definitely had some type of that stuff in him. I know a microaggression when I see one. And I could see that he thought he was superior based on those kind of videos. I gotta keep it real, all right?
But my kids having more room and not being locked in a single bedroom all day. Why would I not be upset? Why would I be upset that they have more room to roam? Seriously, people are. Your mind is sick. Seriously, if you actually think that I would have that thought process, your mind, is sick. But it's fixable, most likely. Condo versus mansion. Everyone's talking about a mansion, so let's define what a mansion is. How many square feet to be considered a mansion? Let's attack this from an educational standpoint, because a lot of you are just throwing random things out on the internet, and your ignorance is showing. All right. And I think one of the things that I have a pet peeve about the most about humans and mankind is people that have strong opinions based on nothing but their opinion. Why does my internet not work well in here? Let's go into my office and see if it works better in there. I think I need to get another extender. Doesn't look like 2 is enough. All right, go in my office. Will this work now? Should. There we go. All right, here we go. You guys talking about a mansion. A typical real estate definition of a mansion is a home that offers at least 5,000 square feet and has at least 5 to 6 bedrooms. Okay, so mansions typically sit on small acreage. Okay, so how many square feet are condos? Let's see. So the average 2-bedroom condo is 750 feet to 1,000 square feet. So that means that a condo is 1/5 of a mansion. My home is 3,000 square feet, so I'm 2,000 square feet short of a mansion. But if you add in my unit and the unit below, that's 6,000 square feet. So I technically live in a mansion, or half of one. If you put both of these together, my home is considered a mansion. But they're separate living quarters, so I don't live in a mansion. Since so many people are saying words and just putting out phrases on the internet with complete inaccuracy and borderline, not even borderline, ignorance. Humans, we need to be better. I'm a little bit more snarky right now because I'm getting over a fever, but I know. I lock my children in a room. I will give you $1,000 if you show me evidence of my children being locked in a room. $1,000. Email it to me, post it in the comments if you find evidence of my children being locked in a room.
Now, sis started a GoFundMe, y'all, and then there was controversy with that because now Justin was like, hey, she started a GoFundMe, but matter of fact, she took that money and ended up going on vacation. She done stole y'all money. Why is this man? Why is he monitoring her funds and what she's doing with her money? You see, this is what I was saying about the monitoring spirits and men who like to control things. That leads me to believe that she was telling the truth in her book.
A GoFundMe, which has raised $55,000 so far, and claiming right here, due to the exorbitant legal fees in Los Angeles, I am unable to afford proper legal representation to reclaim my rights. So she's getting on the internet, asking people for money, claiming that she can't afford it. Okay? And then went to Hawaii after collecting that money. Let's see what her sister has to say about it. She can absolutely afford lawyers, and it doesn't cost $55,000. It would be a single hearing, which probably would cost $5,000. So she is banking $50,000. This is actually a felony, a crime. Okay? Let's see what her sister has to say about it. All these scammers.
She had an army. She had a community.
Let's play that again. Hold on. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, she can pay for a lawyer, but she will not use her money for her children to pay. Yes, my dear. And then I'm just saying she has money. Yes, she can pay for a lawyer, but she will not use her money for her children to pay to fight this guy out. That's what he's waiting for. She had an army. She had a community.
Okay. So she's claiming that.
Yes, she can.
She's claiming in the GoFundMe that she can't afford it, but her sister's saying she can afford it, and she's on a vacation in Hawaii. And in the last 2 years, she's bought 2 homes and 2 new cars. So she can obviously afford it. So this is fraud, by the way. So she's trying to make me seem like I'm a monster for not wanting the kids online, when she's the one that said that she's taking credit for taking a court order and saving her kids from slavery. Okay? Let's see what else Nancy has to say about you guys that are supporting and sending money. I'm just going to let this play a few times.
Yes, I want love to be scammed. You're not.
Let's hear it again.
Yes, I want love to be scammed. You're not.
So, they're scamming you guys, and our sister's sitting here saying that you guys love to be scammed. You guys see how this is wrong? This is the mother of my children. I hate that I have to do this. And after 2 years of her claiming false domestic violence, trying to destroy my life, and invoking Nigerians to come harass me for crimes that I never committed, I'm tired of it. This is a bad look for my kids. This is a bad look for Nigeria. This is a bad look for everyone online. This is and most importantly, this is a bad look for women. Women that come online and claim domestic violence, and then get proven and lose in court, but continue to claim domestic violence. It makes it harder for true victims of domestic violence to come forward. This is bad for women everywhere. So, how much longer, as a general public, are we going to tolerate these scamming women from coming on the internet and spreading whatever propaganda and hate they can to get money from you guys, to drum up views, to put myself and my kids at risk of a racial hate crime? So, those of you guys actively here supporting it, actively here defending these women, let's actually listen again.
No. Yes, I want love to be scammed. They're not.
So, they're scamming you, and then they're mocking you for being scammed.
Nigerian women, you guys got to stand up to these women. They're making you all look bad. Seriously. And I have a voice and I have a platform to call people out because it's negatively affecting me and it's negatively affecting my children. Like, this has gone too far. And the only way I could go fight, I mean, imagine that she raised $55,000 to free the kids from slavery, in her words, and I play this in court. What do you think is going to happen? So, those of you guys that are actively supporting these scams, and I can't wait for the London police to come forward and reveal that scam, they're mocking you. And you guys are saying, yay, scam us, scam us. Let's lie, manipulate, and cheat our way through life. And that's what we want to project to the world. Nigerians, stand up. Seriously. You guys are allowing and encouraging this behavior, and it's making you look bad to the world, because the world is watching. So, terrorists, come bash me. I don't care. I am past the point of taking the high road. I did that for 2 years and watched my life crumble. Watched 2 out of 3 of my businesses get absolutely decimated. I had to close them. And I'm not going to stand by while these scammers get rich off of destroying the hand that fed them. Is the GoFundMe giving me heartburn? Am I jealous of the money that she raised? No. Raising money and not using it for what it was meant is a white-collar crime. It is fraud. So she better return that money. Not because she doesn't need it, for one. Or a single hearing is not going to cost $55,000, not for the most expensive lawyer in LA. I had a $950 an hour lawyer, top 3 lawyer in the city. And over the course of 9 months, I only spent $100,000. So how is it one hearing? And that was the entirety of the divorce process. So how could one hearing cost that much money? It's a scam. It's a scam, and they're all going to Hawaii and laughing while they drink your margaritas. Why you poor suckers are supporting a false cause? 70% of America does not have $500 for an emergency fund. And these girls are out here scamming people. I need them to set a better example for my children. This is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely disgusting.
Because why is he controlling what she's doing with her GoFundMe? Y'all not together. So whatever she decides to do, whether she did it honestly or dishonestly, is not the point. The point is it is no longer of your concern. You're getting a divorce. So why do you care how much money she's getting on GoFundMe? And what she's doing with that money, that has nothing to do with you. You should be concerned about your lawyer and getting a divorce. So now he was shaming her for getting a GoFundMe. Now the gag is that I guess he saw how much money she made on her GoFundMe and he got a little jealous and inspired, because why did this man turn around and go get his own GoFundMe? But his GoFundMe's different because he actually had too much legal fees and he couldn't pay it. Another thing that I'm talking about, you see, he goes back on his word.
How is everyone? Good morning. Happy Monday morning. I had a great weekend. I actually did a retreat with some guru energy healers, which is not something I would typically do, but dang, did it help. Honestly, I feel great. So I am ready to go and back in action. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? We're gonna set the record straight because if I do not, people will just run with stories and lie, because that is what they do. It's sad that I have to participate in this. It is not a good look for a medical professional, but after 2 years of just hoping that people will be good human beings and and put the kids first, that is just not the case, unfortunately, and that will continue not to be the case. So yes, I did have court this morning, and let's talk about it. We're gonna expose the scammer once again, and we're gonna go from there. So first off, she filed a restraining order on me, and it was completely and utterly denied. Why? Can't file a restraining order on somebody for defending themselves and telling them sides of the story. I'm not telling people to go harass her, and so her restraining order was denied. Is there a hearing for it? Yes, but denied. And here you go. Denied. So, wasn't surprised. I saw the restraining order. It was super weak. I mean, when somebody's lying about you for 2 years and you start to defend yourself, that's not harassment. That's called defending yourself. So that's kind of like getting charged for assault when somebody beats you up on the street because you swung back. Doesn't make any sense. So that one's hilarious. So that's denied. And also, where is it at? And I did put in a request for sealing all the documents so that people aren't using things and putting out of context and everything else. And so she is filing for full custody. Why? I don't know. Because I defended myself. It's not going to work. But I don't take risks when it comes to my children. So I did start a Buy Me a Coffee campaign. I will not beg for anything, but I've spent $170,000 in lawyer fees to defend myself against false allegations and won them all. But $170,000 in 2 years does hurt, and I do make money, but this stuff is definitely financially draining me. So if you guys want to support me, I will use 100% of the proceeds to pay for a lawyer. Hopefully there's enough to pay for a lawyer. I need to show you guys something else. Where is it? I'll be right back. Because I don't like to say things without proof because these people lie. So I'll be right back. I think I left it in the other room. Alright guys, sorry I left this important document. So, you guys remember how I exposed her as scamming the GoFundMe? She raised $70,000. Has nothing to do with jealousy, has to do with principle and ethics. A multimillionaire should not be raising money from broke people, which is the average American does not have $500 as an emergency. So, not that I'm making fun of anyone, but she is. So she, where is it at? Where is it at? So she raised $70,000 for a GoFundMe, and guess who she's asking to pay for her lawyer fees? This guy. So she raised money on the internet, $70,000 to pay for lawyer fees, and she's not even going to pay for the lawyer. She's trying to make me pay for the lawyer, which I really severely doubt will be granted. It's $6,500 is what she's requesting. So there you go. It doesn't take $70,000 to do a few hearings, and in fact, according to her lawyer, it only takes $6,500. So once again, people are just being scammed. But I'm trying to show you the proof. I'm just going to look for it. Where is that piece of paper? I thought it was this. Where is it? I'm gonna need to find it. I have a stack of papers just everywhere, and I'm trying to figure it out. Where is it? Because she is requesting attorney fees of $6,500, despite the fact that she already raised $70,000. So she's trying to take your guys' money and pocket it. That, my friends, is fraud. Jailable up to probably 3 years in prison. Where is that piece of paper? Where did I see that? I have like 600 pages of crap. Oh, she was kind enough to give me to offer me visitation. I mean, she knows that I'm a terrific father. An absolute She doesn't even know how tall I am. She listed me as 6'2". I'm 6'1". Oh man. Where the hell is this? Anyways, I'll find it. Anyways, so I do not have a restraining order on me. It was fully denied. I'm going public with this because it will be twisted and manipulated and lied about. And she is requesting for lawyer fees despite raising $70,000. She wants me to pay her $6,500 for her attorney fees. So the scam continues. But I was just going to self-represent. But since she is trying to take my kids from me, I would appreciate some support because I'm not going to lie, I'm taking a little hit business-wise. I still make money, but there's not a lot of surplus currently right now because of everything she's doing. So I mean, I'm not going to risk my kids. Just plain and simple. I'm just not going to risk my kids. And we would never be in this situation if she just would co-parent peacefully. But she had to publish a book, which are all lies, and she had to continuously go online and defame me, harass me, despite being the father of her children. So all of this is going to affect my children in the future. It will follow them for their entire lives. It will follow me for my entire life, and it will follow her for her entire life. So she prioritized short-term monetary gain for long-term emotional abuse of her children. So anyways, I'm going to go take my kids to the park now. It is a beautiful, hot, sunny day here. And, but yeah, the link... So I'm going to post the link to the Buy Me a Coffee in the comments section. You know, one of the things that I learned during this little energy spiritual healing retreat and through therapy is that I need to be better at receiving because I am a giver. That is my natural state. But I need to be better at asking for help when I need help. I just don't have the money to fork out another $20,000 or $30,000 for lawyer fees. And that's the truth. This entire process has kind of bled me dry. You know, I got to be a man and admit when I need help. So, if you guys want to buy a coffee, I appreciate it. And I'm going to go back to making educational content. I am in spiritually, emotionally, the best place since I've been in since probably 2017. This guy really helped me, and I thought it was weird. I thought it was, and we'll be going over some of the science of it. But it was very, very helpful. I got off that table. I was groggy for a few minutes because basically what it is it puts your body in sort of a hibernation state, quasi-hibernator state, kind of like a bear when they're hibernating over the winter, and that activates your immune system and all these enzymes that we'll talk about and all these neurological elements that I'll go into detail about. And it was just super refreshing. Like usually I need a ton of coffee to get through the day. I woke up this morning, I drank a cup of coffee, and I don't need any more caffeine for the rest of the day. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. 5 years ago, I would have said this was like woo-woo placebo stuff. But now that I've seen the evidence, I'm like, okay, this is where medicine's going. So I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate because I'm a doctor, and then people are going to be like, a doctor begging for help on the internet. But hey, I'm past the point caring what people that hate me think. They hate me based on the words of another person. They've never met me. They've never met her. They've never met anybody online. People just cast judgment, and I'm past it. I really just don't care anymore. and this is gonna, I'm sure bloggers everywhere, Dr. Jean's a beggar. I'm not gonna get on here and be like a dancing fool, like the town jester, begging for anything. But I mean, I'm gonna be doing a lot more educational content. If you guys find it valuable, then you guys can contribute. If you guys want to help me with lawyer fees to protect my children, I appreciate it. But I'm not gonna get on here begging. My stars button, they have reported my page so much that my star button does not work. It has been in review for 3 years now. I've contacted everyone at Facebook and nobody can fix it. It's basically, my page has been reported by hundreds of thousands of people, probably, I don't know. So my star button doesn't work. So, get a job. I have a job. Very successful one. It's still, I'm still 50% down from where I was before she started all this madness. Before she started harassing me and telling her people to destroy my business. I am building back. I am getting there, but it takes some time, you know. And I'm fairly expensive. I'm probably the most expensive chiropractor in town. So, you know, it's like I don't need to see that many people. But you know, LA's expensive. My rent's nearly $7,000. You know, so I gotta make. You know, I have a lot of expenses. I'm just not gonna lie. And 20-30K on lawyers is quite a steep bill. So anyways, that is the truthful, no shame, like, hey father, I will not risk my kids. I must be in their lives. I love them, they love me. That is just the way it's supposed to be. You set up kids for every statistical disadvantage for not having a father in their life, and I am a damn good father. I am awesome at being a dad. That is, nobody can take that from me. I love my kids to death. I prioritize them. They come first in every decision I make, whether it's dating, whether it's where we live. I live in this place because it's a great school district. Every decision I make is what's best for my kids. And that's what a good father should be. I provide, I support, and I protect. And sometimes I have to protect them from the internet. Alright guys, I'm gonna go take my kids to the park. So, it's hot as hell here. I should probably put on some sunglasses. But thanks. Instead of being on here, go to work. I have 3 patients later, and I charge $300 an hour. I'm not poor, but but it is hard to come up with a retainer of $20,000 up front when I have all these other expenses that I'm paying for. So so bring in the insults. I'm a beggar. I'm a dirty man. I'm an evil narcissist. Whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, you guys have been trying to break my spirit for going on 2.5 years. It worked for a little bit, and now I'm untouchable. So that's the truth. Catch you later. Time to go play with my kids. But I appreciate everyone that stuck through me through the years, can see through the BS, see through the bullshit, and this madness just has to come to an end. This cannot continue. She's saying she's going to tell her story. Tell your story. Like, you've been caught in so many lies that only people without a high school education believe you. So, anyways, I'm out of here. Yeah, the restraining order was completely denied. Her restraining order was basically like, I beat this guy up in the street. Like, so this is the equivalent of her restraining order. Some guy attacks a woman on the street, beats her up, and then the woman does a haymaker and breaks his nose in defense. And then the guy that's trying to rob her tries to file for a restraining order for her defending herself. So it's hilarious. It is ignorant and obviously unfounded because it was rejected. Unlike mine, which was approved because there are legitimate concerns. So I'm talking about this because, and again, in self-defense, because the lies are going to just go crazy. And that's what people do. They just lie to protect their God, the person that they worship. Go worship her, but leave me alone. All right, time to go to the park. Love you all. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go enjoy my day with my kids because they mean everything to me. See you later.
I can already tell, like I said, there's his side, her side, and the truth. There's something in the middle here. So remember, he was up in arms. She's stealing money from you guys. This is not fair. Even her sister was saying she's stealing money. Matter of fact, her sister basically was like, nah, bruh, nah, fam. I'm not on your side. Don't put me into this. Y'all gonna see her response.
My father gave me two British degrees. My father, that man you're talking about, gave me 2 British degrees. Something that you and your generation can never achieve. 2 British degrees. But now they're slandering him like it doesn't even matter. Slandering a man that you can never be. He killed mosquitoes with his full chest for his children. Because he made a vow to my mother on her dying bed never to allow anything happen to his girls and his boy. Can you afford Canadian education the way you are? Well, have you finished paying your student loans? My father, in his retirement, chested my brother's Canadian school fees for masters. Did they born your generation well? Do you people even have education in your family? This guy chested it in retirement. He owns properties, this man that you are looking down on. The US has mosquitoes, but they don't give malaria, like the ones in Africa. Scammer, she is a scammer, such a scammer. Yeah. It was music all over my page today, like, what? It was a lot. And I'm like, is this what it takes for someone to become a scammer on Facebook? Asking for help. Since when did asking for help become a bad thing? Since when did asking for help make you a scammer? Oh my gosh. She does need help for legal fees. Whether you like it or not, she does need help. Okay? You guys, you don't like my voice. No. If you say that again, I'm going to sing throughout this live video. I should sing. Okay now. No, they call us scammers. Scammers. How's that? Scammers. They're calling us scammers. It is not a crime to ask for help.
I paid $50,000 to the person who took my child from my arms 1 week postpartum. I had to pay. I had to pay to see my children in America, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
When a man talks a lot, I already know what time it is. When they're so quick to make a woman the villain, and again, he took no accountability for anything that he's done in the marriage. That lets me know that there's some narc behavior. Now, when we get into narc behavior, that just lets me know that somebody has to be the victim and somebody has to be a villain. That's usually narc theory 101. So they will never be accountable for anything. It's always one person's fault. Now, one thing that I did notice with Kora was that she took accountability and she said what her wrongdoings were. But we don't see that with Justin. So that just lets me know that there's a lot more truth on her side than his, because anyone that does not know how to take accountability, to me, is somebody that you need to watch out for.
It's ready.
Hey. This is where the red flag, one of the red flag all started. And Kora is still enduring. Hello my people, please watch this video till the end. And you must learn something from this video. Please watch it. With that, you that is at home acting the best wife, the best woman, the perfect marriage, watch this. Because if anything should happen to you, you are gonna be replaced with a twinkle of an eye. Yes, there is no amount of good wife, best wife that is enough. Okay? A man who loves you will love you, and when you are pregnant, they will assist. In fact, they will be the one cooking for you throughout that 9 months. But a man that doesn't care for you will never do that for you. Look at how he comes and asks, is the food ready? Without even knowing the discomfort it is for a woman that is that is pregnant and the belly is all big, opening the oven, trying to grab something there. They don't know how uncomfortable it is. And instead of him coming there to help, look at how, in fact, he's just using her. There is no perfect woman, there is no perfect wife, there is no perfect anything there. Please be mindful of how you are doing that perfect woman and perfect wife. Because that man you see there that is letting you do everything for him doesn't love you. I said it again, he doesn't love you. The one that he loves, he will go there and be the one doing those things that Kora is doing. He will do it for that woman. I said it and I said it. That's it. Here, look at how Kora is bending, getting up, the discomfort. Look at her face. She's exhausted, she's tired. The man comes in looking for if the food is ready to go and eat without even caring how she's feeling at that moment. You can see she's not happy. Or she's pretending that all is well. Guys, there's so many things. We are seeing the red flag and we are ignoring it. Learn from this so that your own matter will not be sorry, yo. I warned you and I said so. Watch this to the end and learn. That's it. Please follow me.
But a narcissist will never give you a complete apology. Meaning, I'm sorry, but you did this, which made me do the thing that hurt you. That's what a narcissist does. Somebody that's not a narcissist and has emotional intelligence will say they're sorry with no blame pushed on the other person. They will acknowledge, hey, I can see how that hurt you. I'm sorry I hurt you. That was not my intention. I'm sorry. That's a real apology. Well, I got 7 minutes until my next patient. I've been thinking about, there's all this negativity around me going on the internet. I've been thinking of ways to, basically fight back without violating court orders or, because obviously my daughters are my first and only priority in the immediate future. So I'm just going to start spinning their stories into positivity with the truth. Like, for example, one of the most common names for me on the internet is dustbin. I think I'm gonna go buy a dustbin and decorate it with dustbin, and just to make fun of people that are trying to call me names, just like I did with Dr. Wolverine, because somebody thought I got liposuction in Dominican Republic. All kinds of stuff. Brain reset. Can't believe people, what has this world become? This world has become a very toxic place. I'm gonna do an entire separate video on this because this is very interesting, especially since I know the truth because of my patient population. But people love drama. People love drama. I mean, you could make an argument that my entire social media platform has been built people looking for drama, and I haven't given it to them. People love reality television. I don't understand it. Because if there's one thing I know about reality television from working in Hollywood and and working with the people, and I won't name names and I won't name shows, working with people that actually write the scripts for reality television. Do you think these reality TV shows are just off the cuff and they're reality? No, they have a script like a movie. They're not as like have to stick to the lines as much as a movie, but they have a theme and what people are going to say and what drama they're going to create on every single TV show. So it's not actually reality TV, it's a TV show based on drama. Simone, I'm not looking for empathy. I'm looking to educate you. I don't need your empathy. I do need you to raise your self-awareness of yourself and the world around you so that the human species becomes better. So I don't know if you guys have noticed what's going on in politics, the climate, and everything else. Like, There's some serious problem that our children, June and Athena, their generation is going to have to solve. And the lack of intelligence and ability to expand your mind and think and grow and not just do what you're told and not just believe everything that you hear. That's what governments want. That's what Hollywood wants. Be better. Be smarter. Be more of an individual. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. About 3 blocks from my patients. I better go. I have 3 minutes. All right. I see all the hate faces. My last thing that I'll say is I'm getting a lot of people sending me comments about reporting my page, trying to get my page shut down. Please report my page, because I'm not violating any community standards. Nothing I do is against Facebook's community standards. So when you report my page and Facebook investigates what I say and what I'm doing and I find no valid violations, do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get boosted. Facebook's going to be like, this guy is popular. This guy is doing something that people are talking about. Let's make him more discoverable on the Explore page. So please report my page, because I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm doing nothing that violates community standards. And yes, I've read what does. And all you're doing is your hate is lifting me up. So please keep hating me, keep reporting my page, keep trying to tear me down, and I'll just keep soaring up. Haven't you guys come to that realization? You guys have been trying to tear me down for a year now. And 1 million followers later, I'm still rising. I'm not bragging. I'm literally like, how did they not get it? How did they not understand that their hate is making me succeed? Like, come on, people. Let's use some brain cells here. Pay attention. Anyways, rant over. I gotta go to work. Catch y'all later. It is official. I have a restraining order on my ex-wife. For the last 2.5 years, she has been harassing me on social media, making up false claims of domestic violence, making up false narratives about me, and such as I was abusive, such as I yanked her until she had a miscarriage, such as so many things that I proved in court to be false. And she has been going on a rampage, talking about these things for 2 years now, despite already proving my innocence and proving her lies. And because of that, a judge granted a restraining order. So, she can no longer talk about me without consequences of prison. I have no desire to talk about this anymore. I have no desire to have this drama on my page. I have no desire to have any of this stuff continue to go. I never wanted this. It has consumed my life. It has destroyed my mental health, and it is finally over. So, she can no longer speak about me unless she wants to go to jail. And I'm done with this stuff. I'm done.
Healthcare, nothing. Food, nothing. Upkeep, nothing. I'm asking for nothing. All I'm asking for is for you to pay your own half, because all of me is too much. It go choke. And Athena is almost joining. Imagine if I have to pay both of them together by only myself. This fight, you know, go free end. You know, go free end like that. You know, go free end. And all the people saying free school, come to LA and look for free public school and see where your child will end up. Come to LA, where I'm living. Come here. Come and look for free public school. You will see what will happen. Not for my June and Athena. And the place I put them is not the most expensive. They're even more expensive ones. There's one that I really wanted June to go to. If I was the only one paying for that one, by now I probably would be on the middle of the streets dancing to pay for that one, for that tuition, because it's not cheap. The one I wanted to go for, the language integration one, where they'll teach her all sorts of language. Do you know how much it is per month? Do you know how much that is per month? I just said, okay, let me pay for the one that is still affordable, as long as it's not me. But now I'm the only one paying. If I wanted June to go to the place I wanted her to go to, Ayuna Irvine, thank you for 1,000 stars. Appreciate you. If I paid for June to go to the place I wanted to go to, if I paid for that, had to do that. Because even the school that I want her to go to, she's not even going there. She's going to a cheaper one because I know, say, at the end of the day, I'm the one who's going to be paying for 100% of it. And I am. No free pre-K here.
If you want anything free, you have to wait until they're 4 years old. Their first 3 years of life, when they're sponges soaking up everything, you will let it waste. That's America for you. You wait till your child is 4 years old before you can have education. Anything before that, you have to pay for it. I'm not going to wait for my children to be 4 years old before they are educated. I was educated at 2 years old, and I'm coming from a third world country. How will I now come in 2023 with all the knowledge I have about early childhood education and wait for my child to lose 3 years of her life because I'm waiting for free school? No, I'm not going to do that. And if you have money to pay for a lawyer, why can't you just pay $850 for your child, for God's sake? That's what they call misplaced priority in life. Me, I know where my priorities lie. You can drag me. You can say anything you want. Beg for your stars and go home. You choose a private school, you pay for it. Go home evil. Whatever you like, you can say. Drag me. I'm ready to be dragged. Drag me. Drag me. I'm draggable. Drag me. Anything that concerns my girls, drag me to Nebuchadnezzar's desert. Drag me to Mount Everest. I'm ready to be dragged. Anything that concerns my daughters, drag me. I'm draggable. You can drag me. If you think anything that I'm saying is not factual, please just do a little bit of research. I'll never come here without facts. Everything I'm saying to you guys is the gospel truth. Nothing but the truth. I have been paying for June's school fees from July. In fact, he just stopped paying and didn't tell anybody until the school sent me an email that they were going to expel June from school. So I told them, please send me all the bills that he hasn't paid. I paid everything, and then moving forward from there, I started to pay full from the middle of the year till this end of the year. And still he has never paid. So I'm not lying to you. I have receipts of the payments. You know me, I'm queen of receipts. I'm not lying to you. But we move. And we move confidently in the direction of quality life for June and Athena. I have no business with this man if it's not for my daughters. Thank God for independence and thank God for his saving me. I have no business with him. I can take care of myself. I can take care of myself. I don't want your alimony. I don't want your child or support. I just want you to pay your 50%. Imagine if I wasn't financially independent.
All right, y'all, my battery's about to go. So let's go through this timeline quickly. Eventually, Kora wins the divorce petition and she's free, y'all. She's free. She done got the divorce. Kora also got her papers like 2 years after their divorce.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm finally able to breathe. My child is crying. She said, no eyes. Justice for Athena. We did it, guys. We did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, we did it, guys. We did it, guys. Oh, these are tears of joy. These are tears of joy. Oh, God. Guys, we did it. I'm so grateful to every one of you. Even if it was just $1 you contributed to that GoFundMe, God bless you. God bless you for the rest of your life. Even if it was just 1 cent you contributed to that GoFundMe, God will bless you till the day that you go. Till the day that you go, God will bless you. You know, you can make me American, but you can never take the accent away from me. My accent is very strong, hella strong, honey. Ain't nothing gonna take my accent. My accent is forever here in my tongue. I'm an American, baby. Oh, baby. It's not easy. It's not an easy achievement. You know, when for the first time the blogs carried this story in my country, we have these people. They are more powerful than the news put together. They're called bloggers, right? And once news, amazing reach. Anyway, news of my getting a citizenship hit the blogs, and they started to talk and gossip around themselves, like, oh, when did she get the da-da-da-da-da? I went into the comments. I always go into the comments with a pinch of salt. I knew they are going to insult me because they like to insult me. I'm the girl who twerks. They always insult me. They always make me look like a bad person. I'm so happy because of you guys. I'm so happy. I love you guys. I'm so grateful to you guys. Thank you. God bless you. Anyway, I went in the blogs today expecting to see some insults. Not even one person insulted me. Not even one person insulted me. Juliana, thank you for 100 stars. I didn't even see one single person insulting me. And somebody said, wow, I thought she was with that man because he was giving her papers. So he didn't give her papers. People thought that I literally got married for papers. And they were so shocked that I did not leave the marriage with papers. I only got the papers 3 years after divorce.
Now, there was one funny clip in this whole toxic back and forth where Kora was on TikTok. And you know, TikTok has battles where people can call you when you're on live. And you guys can do like TikTok battles, y'all. But it was funny because she tried to do a battle with Kendra G. And then she didn't realize that Kendra G was a dating show.
Are you looking for love, baby?
Yes, I'm looking for love.
Okay, what just happened? What's going on?
You're battling.
How am I battling? How does the battle work? Can someone educate me? What am I supposed to win? Now, are you looking for love?
Yes, I'm looking for love.
What's your name? Ooh, child.
Kora.
Huh?
Kora.
Cora, where are you calling me from?
I'm calling from Los Angeles.
You're in LA. How old are you?
33.
Do you have kids?
2.
How old are your 2 kids?
Aish, this is an interview.
It is. That's what I do. I ask you questions to find you a man. Are you looking for a man?
Ooh,
You like women?
I like women. I like men.
So you're bisexual?
Ooh. Damn, on my chat they're saying leave. What did you do?
I ain't do shit. This is what I do. You call me. Now I'm helping people find love. I'm supposed to ask you these questions I'm about to ask you. I already started. And then I'm gonna put you on the Kendra G Singles dating app. So you looking for a man or a woman?
A man.
Okay. So Cora, what do you do for a living?
I'm a singer dancer.
Not that bad.
Ooh, thank you.
Okay. So you're a singer. They pay you for that.
Yes.
Okay. So we got Kora, LA, 33. What's your zodiac sign?
Cancer.
She's a Cancer. Amanda, how old are your kids?
5 and 2.
Both by the same man?
Yes.
Why you not with him?
It didn't work.
You didn't work? Were you guys married?
Yes.
When'd you get divorced?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. So we got Kora, LA, 33, Cancer. Mine 2 kids. She's divorced. What kind of man you looking for now?
To be honest, I'm not looking for a man.
Then why you calling me, Kora?
I thought we were gonna battle. I'm looking for...
What is battle? How do you battle?
That exchange was hilarious as hell, but let's move on. Eventually, everyone moves on. Kora moves on. She's doing her big one.
If I had not said what I said, if I had not come through with my truth, it wouldn't have brought out all the truth that came to light. Because, as you saw in the blogs, after I admitted to that, he admitted to a lot of things, you know? So it was like we were both doing these things, and we would have been living in a lie to please the public, you know? And how long can you do that? So I would never regret saying, hey, before I came to America, I was having commitment issues, and I was like, whoa, this is like the only man I'm going to sleep with for the rest of my life, you know? And so, yeah, I dabbled, as you know, in my book. I admitted to it openly, and a lot of people insulted my destiny for it. But at the end of the day, I will never live with secrets. They kill. So you're not doing secrets. In fact, I'm so secretless now that people are starting to say, "Gosh, Kora, you're like a little bit too blunt. You're like you're a little too honest." But that is how I've chosen to live, because I've seen the other side and I'm not interested. I have played very important roles in the destruction of my marriage. I have also played very important roles in the lasting of the marriage. I've played very important roles in the monies that were made during marriage and even after marriage with the circus that happened. I have played many roles. I would not say, "Ooh, it had nothing to do with me." That's stupid, because it's 2 parties and we both had things to do with it. However, this is not mine. I am not Kora the girl that divorced. No, I'm Kora the artist, the singing dancing princess from the motherland that is waxing every day. Guys, go see my track record.
Zambia, I've been to Lusaka. I've been to a lot of countries before I met him. I met him in China. I didn't meet him in Nigeria. Like, oh, he gave me the green card. We met in China as 2 experts, both of us working and studying in China. So he was not my white messiah that took me out of the Nigerian jungle. Like, you people want to so believe so desperately. That is not the case here, okay? That is not the case.
And then Justin moves on and finds a new black woman.
Do we need to collect it?
Sunny, what are we doing here?
Work?
She's at work. It's bring it over to work today. That's what you do. You bring it over to work.
It is bring over to work day.
I'll have to bring you to work sometime.
We are at a movie agency, but they also have models. And right now they're casting angels, SAS angels. So I'll be casted as an angel model this year. It's similar to the Victoria's Secret angel models because the CEO of this agency actually worked with Victoria's Secret for some years. And he worked very closely with BS models. And so he wanted to bring that to his agency and cast SAS angels. And I was handpicked
I didn't know
to be an SAS angel. And so I just gave Justin the news. I got a new job as an ambassador and an organizer here in the agency. So I'll be working here.
Moving to LA. She was living outside LA, but now she's moving to LA.
Moving to LA.
So she'll be around more.
Because I have work.
We should probably show them the runway.
Yeah.
When are you doing the runway?
Right on the start.
Oh, okay. Looks like they're already doing it. Hey guys. So bringing it over to work then. So we're just preparing. You know, we're about to put on all my makeup. Oh yeah, like that. The dad bod down the runway. That'll go.
It's just powder. Because I'm so oily. I was telling my friends that on my live.
I actually think I was just a response to liking stuff with my face all the time. You know, the kids always like boogers and food. And
what a shit show.
Literally. You want to tell that story?
No. You know how I am.
What are we doing? Alright, just chilling. Work this morning.
Eating peanuts. Starving.
Do you want to go to Justin food?
Yeah.
What do you want?
Not right now though. We can go first.
I'm actually kind of hungry myself.
You want this Creole pasta.
Creole pasta.
I don't know.
No, Summer and I are no longer together. That was her choice, and I respect it, and I wish her well, and she's an amazing person. Go support her. Do not harass her. Everyone around me is getting harassed, and I'm not alone in this. It is everyone. Everyone. It's been reported to the FBI. It's been reported to every single organization that can do this stuff, that can actually make a difference. So, if you guys have integrity, we need to stop this. We need to stop this. They are terrorists. They're out there destroying people's businesses, not just mine. Anyone out there that sees the truth and supports me, they destroy. They destroy. They'll report their page until it gets deleted. They don't like an alternative opinion to their own. That is terrorism. Social media terrorism. So I cannot in good conscience any longer stand by while these people hurt everyone around me just because they know me. Or they stick up for me because they can see the lies. So, I mean, I hope that people with a pulse and any sort of conscience can see that that's not okay. Jealousy. How is defending your reputation, your livelihood, and the people around you make you jealous? Let's talk about that. Why are things like I'm jealous, I'm not overmaxed, all this stuff? I am a human being. I was a team doctor of a country, teaching seminars all over the country prior to meeting this woman. I was successful and established, and I have a strong reputation in my career. I worked with some of the brightest minds in the world here in LA, some of the best athletes, the top celebrities. I am well established as a thought leader in my industry. And I'm not going to let this terrorist organization destroy what I built prior to meeting your God. So, I'm tired of it. I will not stand up to cyberbullying. I will not allow cyberbullying to continue to be used in my name to hurt people. Everyone around me is hurt by these terrorists. My children will not forgive me for my attitude. It's a very interesting perspective considering I'm going to raise my girls to be strong women that stand up to bullies. Which means you, terrorists. You really think that my kids are going to grow up to appreciate all the shit that you're doing to their father? No. And guys, if you're going to come on here and insult me, please use proper grammar. Please spell correctly. There's a comma that have supported me, and you've got harassed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of you that have supported me and got death threats. I'm sorry to all of you that have supported me and had your businesses negatively affected. At the end of the day, I'm not taking her to court. She's just going to continue to do this forever because it is her brand. Her brand is centered around me. The only thing I really request is to stop being lied about, stop being harassed, but that's just not going to happen because that's how she makes her money. Somebody's saying he's just on here trying to get money. If I was trying to get money, I would narrate how she was running down the street and went to the psych ward, okay? I never told that story.
There was an article written by Dr. George Simons, and he talks about when your character disordered X defames and makes trouble for you. So what he said is that sometimes just when you think your long relationship nightmare is finally over, the character disordered person you've managed to separate from begins causing you no end of trouble, to engaging in several tactics to make things as difficult as possible for you. Your ex can become just as ominous and troublesome a presence in your life as he or she was when you were together. The most severely disturbed characters come in two forms. Y'all pay attention, two forms. Narcissists, non-aggressive egoists, and the various types of aggressive narcissistic personalities. And these personalities don't take the notion of losing very easily. For narcissists, it's too big an insult to their monumental and pathological pride to think that someone they viewed as not only their possession, but their extension has claimed their own life. And for the aggressive personalities, the thought of someone else winning and therefore sabotaging their endless quest for domination is simply abhorrent. So when you leave one of these impaired characters, you can almost always expect that there will be some kind of hell to pay. And this is exactly what I was able to see in this whole case study. Notice that he was always insulting her. While Sis was talking about what he did to her in the sense of like, okay, he took my money, he took everything from me, Sis was sticking to the facts. He was sticking to her being the worst character. I thought that that was very interesting. These two, when I tell you that this was probably one of the most toxic love stories that I've covered, and I know that I'm just scratching the surface with the stories I'm about to cover, but this one probably was one of the worst ones. I will say both of them definitely have some extensive issues that they need to resolve. What can we learn from this case study? Number one, love isn't always enough, okay? Now, their cultural background, values, and long-term goals, they were not aligned. The only thing that aligned at the beginning of their relationship was that they were both educated, so that was one thing they had in common. And they both liked to have sex like rabbits. That's all we knew. Because everything was moving at a fast pace. And Sis didn't really know him. And she was in a foreign country. And she already had a lot of trauma from her past childhood. Lesson number 2, if you have experienced anything traumatic in your childhood, such as a loss of a parent, abuse, any type of traumatic incident that will cause you to make different choices that you otherwise would not have taken if you had been in a healthier state of mind, I highly recommend that you get therapy. I think that therapy is essential, especially for young women who have been put into traumatic situations such as Kora. I truly believe had Sis been in therapy from a long time ago, she would have navigated her life differently. And I'm happy that she was able to get into therapy. It was a blessing in disguise. Please get some therapy, y'all. Next lesson. Please be with a man who can regulate his emotions. Emotional intelligence, I don't think people really place emphasis on how important that is. According to her, this man was yelling all over the place, screaming, smashing phones. Very unhinged behavior. And that lets me know that he was unable to regulate his emotions, according to her, allegedly. So please, if you're looking for a partner, emotional regulation should be up there. because that is very important with how they treat you and how they're going to treat you. Also, do not date a 50-50 man. I had to slide that in here too. A man will show you a lot with how much he spends on you and how much he values what he spends on you. Clearly, according to her, we can see that the 50-50 got her nowhere. Nowhere at all. So a man who invests in you and a man who puts time into you, who is selfless with you, who puts effort into you, that's the man that you should be marrying. That's my personal opinion. The next thing is your brand can complicate your marriage, okay? So Kora really prioritized social media because, again, social media was her bread and butter. Unfortunately, it came at a cost because when it was time to leave her marriage, sis was more worried about continuing with the social media content than actually leaving this man. So please do not tie your identity and brand with your husband. Try your best to have your own brand and he have his own brand and separate them, especially if you're in an abusive relationship. Like I said, please do not show the world that your husband is the best husband if he isn't. Please stop doing that. I beg you. Another lesson is don't let the public validation replace private fulfillment. All right. So trying to show a healthy relationship and being in a healthy relationship are two totally different things. And in the end, you're only hurting yourself and extending the end because, again, all of those relationships, they crumble at a certain point. And the last thing I will say is please know when to leave. I understand it can be embarrassing. I understand that sometimes you have invested so much in a relationship. However, your peace and safety should be a priority versus you having a husband or somebody that you can show around. If you're experiencing a toxic relationship, and you're experiencing abuse, and you do not know peace inside of that relationship or marriage, then it is better you end it than to stay in that situation. Especially if it's something that is putting your life in danger and your children's life in danger. All right, so on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. Whew, this one threw me for a loop. We done made it to the end, y'all. We made it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And as always, take care of your beautiful selves. And until next time, bye.